Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo! Hump day?
My microphone isn't on. Hey, everybody, it's hump day. Hey, Brock, guess what today is?
Hump day. Whoa. Not come on, Brock.
Oh, come on.
Not Brock's fault.
You could cover it up.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
I was watching something and I got enveloped in it and I forgot. By golly, I apologize.
No, I don't want you guys letting her off the hook because you don't let me off the hook when there's something wrong.
I'm sorry. I know you guys. I'm a moron. I was going to say, Brock, what day is today?
Huh?
What day is today?
Hump day. As I hit puberty.
That's fantastic.
I can't believe you didn't turn the mic on. So nobody heard Mike. What day is it, Mike?
They didn't hear it?
No.
Because my thing was closed? Off?
Oh, no, they did hear it.
Yeah, they did. I didn't. Whatever. Way to be the victim.
Whoa. You heard it, didn't you?
I did.
Okay, well then.
Anyway, so Brock, I want
you guys see what I go through on a daily.
Shush. I want you to tell them how cool our conversation was yesterday with Stuart Rhodes. You know, you and I both learned a lot.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a drop that I didn't know about Ray Epps.
We're going to be playing this for you at the halfway mark today. And I think you guys, you need to hear it. So if you have to bounce at any point in the next 2 hours, go back, get the podcast, do whatever. But it's totally worthwhile. Totally worthwhile. So I beg your pardon. I'm sorry I screwed that up, you guys.
That was me sighing. Did you hear it?
You should really go get me some more coffee. Is what you
just what
do.
you need.
Do I have like 1 second to go get a little bit more? No, I don't.
So you do. You have a minute. So if you want to send bad jokes or good news, wbrbrock@gmail.com for bad jokes. Just put bad jokes in the headline. If you want to send good news, wendybellradio@gmail.com is for good news. You can send it to me too, but then I probably just forward it to her. I can't believe.
What?
I can't believe you didn't turn it on.
I'm sorry. I knew I was forgetting something. Whatever.
I knew I was forgetting something.
Whatever.
Like
it's not
the car keys. That's the car key.
It's not going to be the biggest deal ever. That we know.
Well, you're not perfect today, and tomorrow's not looking good either.
It is what it is. And I'm all right with that. It's great to be with you guys. Welcome.
My car insurance must be up.
Yeah, we're getting some phone calls.
I'm getting a phone call.
Yeah. Yeah. My mind is in a million different
I need people
places.
to wish me strength right now.
Why?
It's a struggle.
Why?
Daily struggle.
Oh, please. If everybody could be so freaking lucky. I mean, like, whatever.
Now, see, I got a lot of no sound. Now, Now, for the people that are going to join in 5 minutes late, they're going to be like, no sound, and I'm going to go into a panic.
I'm sorry. It kind of feels like
shake my head. And
it's one of those days. It's just one of those days. I feel it, which sucks because you guys are all watching me have one of those days.
Well, just blame me. You seem to do that for
and you know
else.
What? You wake up and you know it's going to be one of those days.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. One of those days.
You could have warned me. Maybe I would have known to tell you to press the button then. You got a sign in front of you, sis.
It's behind my computer. I know.
Maybe we should tape it to the window.
Oh, gosh. I'll punch you so hard.
Awkward silence.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we are converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, America and beyond the fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program, your home for common sense conservative values. We are super excited to have you today. I think it's a great conversation, especially at the halfway mark. All right. Little teaser beezer before we get into the nuts and bolts. We are going to be joined by phone from the Cumberland Federal Prison by Oath Keepers founder, Stuart Rhodes. And I think it is I know it is a conversation that you need to hear. Because I think the closer we get to November, the more we need to start doing our independent searching for facts. And that is what we do on this program 5 days a week, 15 hours every single week for you. If you're new, Wendy Bell Radio Network app, follow along the live video stream. We're also the top female political podcaster on Rumble. So check us out there, or the Wendy Bell Radio podcast. No matter how you do it, how you get us. Thanks for being here and welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, I talked yesterday about this idea of this jigsaw puzzle out on our coffee table, right? On America's collective dining room table is this giant jigsaw puzzle. And there are all sorts of different pieces. We don't know how they fit together, and it's literally a trial and error. And there are various people, like if you've ever done this on vacation, we do this on vacation. Everybody kind of takes a zone, right? I'm going to do the blue flat edges over here. You've got what looks like to be a balloon or something. You've got that. Everybody is focused on getting together the pieces that look like they go according to their design that they can put together. We are finding the picture becoming so much more clear. And one of the things that we are supposed to not talk about that has been vilified and people who've dared to ask questions about have been called the big lie pushers, believers in this big lie. I think one of the most important things for us to remember moving forward is that there is no way Joe Biden won that 2020 election. It is not wrong for me to say that. It does not make me extreme. It doesn't make me a conspiracy theorist. It is me at America's dining room table, putting together my section of the puzzle and seeing the picture emerge. We've known this for years. And this exhaustive cover-up, all these ancillary smoke screens that allowed the theft of a presidential election in the United States of America, the biggest story in my lifetime. I'm going to say even more than Joe Biden being a treasonous, corrupt, alleged president. This is bigger than that. All right? Now, the reason why I'm saying this is I kind of stumbled upon some video 3 years after the fact, 3+ years after the fact of the election of 2020, 3.5, in Fulton County, Georgia, where a forensic expert is testifying before a judge and all sorts of people about election anomalies in the state of Georgia. Now, they don't want you to know any of this. Judges don't want to get involved. They don't want to hear these cases. The media don't want to talk about it because they're in on the scam. And so the only way it gets out is by people like this program, other people out there on social media who find and share and hope that each of us is alert enough and interested enough and willing to put in the time to investigate. I want to tell you a little bit about this Fulton County, Georgia election guy, okay? Because this is going to underscore everything that is going on today. If we can all just agree that the biggest ripoff, it wasn't COVID. It wasn't January 6th. It was nothing of it's not the LGBT nonsense agenda. It is the theft of a presidential election. It is thwarting the re-election of a highly effective outsider who did a phenomenal job policy-wise with so many people working against him, with the media hating him, right? They knew the guy was going to get reelected. So I just want to tell you this. The mainstream media will not cover it. Judges will not hear it. People will not prosecute it. And so we're in this cycle of suck for years and years and years. And it does not change the story that they freaking stole from each of us in concert in various cities across America. Fulton County, Georgia, just one of them. And they were able to do this with a corrupt Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, a suck Republican governor in Brian Kemp, and a lot of moving parts here that all work together to evaporate a more than 100,000 point vote lead for Donald Trump at the end of November 3rd and erase it to be a more than 100,000 vote gain for Joe Biden. All right, listen to this. There's a gentleman named Garland Favorito. He's from Voter, Georgia, Voter GA. He testified on 6 affidavits alleging counterfeit ballots in Fulton County, Georgia's 2020 election, which remain unresolved now 3 years later. Look, they're trying to do this again. You need to know the details. These mail-in ballots weren't folded from being mailed. They were not on the correct paper stock. They were not marked with a writing instrument. They were marked with toner. And they were all marked the same way. And this is according to senior poll managers who signed court affidavits. After 3 years, we have still not seen the ballots for which there were 6 sworn affidavits claiming that they were counterfeit. This is not how you investigate things, ladies and gentlemen. Additionally, over 70 counties in Georgia reportedly destroyed their original ballot images. That is a violation of federal and state election laws requiring their retention for 2 years. I think the magic number is 22 months. 70 counties destroyed, lost, misplaced. What? Ballot images? What are you talking about? It's the same song and dance. Now, this gentleman, Garland Favorito's testimony, is part of the disbarment hearing for a former United States Assistant Attorney General. This is after the county failed. This is after Fulton County failed to verify signatures on 147,000 mail-in ballots. It is so egregious. It is so outrageous. It is so in your face and so obvious. And they will stop at nothing to tell you that you don't know what you're talking about. And one of the favorite ploys on the left is to accuse your opponent, your enemy, whomever is against you, of doing what you yourself are doing now. This is what they do. This is the strategy. This cannot continue. I did more digging. Ready? Original ballot images in 70 counties destroyed. Fulton County ballot images were electronically altered before the results were certified in 2020. 8,000 double copied ballots, 8,000 double scanned ballots. And Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger went to court to prevent a review of the ballots they did have. Now that you know that, just assembling your pieces of the puzzle at the dining room table, are you beginning to see more and more the final product? Hillary Clinton comes out today with a video warning that Republicans are plotting to steal the 2024 election. The pieces are there, my friends. So the challenge for us today, come to the table, stand there with me, look through your pieces, look at everybody else's images, and see where the connections are, because it is predictable and it is easy to put together. That is what you and I will do together today. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I love this part of polling for you, how Donald Trump is leading Joe Biden in one particular area, one state. And I think you'll be able to figure out why. Don't go anywhere. This is the Wendy Bell radio program. Back right after this. Brock, what does it remind you of when we say ballot images in 70 counties destroyed?
January 6th.
Oh my gosh. What part of that, Brock?
That's the part that they destroyed testimony.
Oh my God. All the video? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. That's weird.
You know, timestamp stuff.
Well, how about Hillary Clinton? What did she do? That's right. Yes. And she smashed Blackberries. Well, I mean, that's what I always do when I get a new phone. Hi-ya!
Yeah, I'm done with this one. I'm not trading it in. I'm just going to smash
I'm going to smash. This is exactly right. So you can tell now how I'm putting my puzzle pieces together, and it's really freaking annoying. I want to tell you about the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, the number of patients who I get testimonials from. I mean, it's hard. It's a hard thing to quantify, to put into words what it's like to live without pain. It's like when you're sick, you don't realize how much you take for granted that you're just normal when you're normal. And then you get sick and you're like, I can't breathe. It's the same thing. When you have a bulging or herniated disc in your back or neck, and the odds are the vast majority of us are going to go through these problems, you either can have surgery, you can suffer through it for as long as possible, or you can talk to Dr. Richard Rafferty at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. I recommend the latter. 412-906-9600, PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. He can help you. He can solve this non-surgically. 98% successful procedure. And thousands upon thousands of 5-star reviews from people who say, I only wish I had gone sooner. Look, I kick the can down the road for my stuff all the time. That's not one thing you want to do today when it comes to back pain. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com.
Back pain affects everything.
Oh my gosh.
Everything.
It's the worst.
You start not moving a certain way, and then you hurt something else.
Do you remember when you laid on the ground at our old station, you had done something wonky to your back?
No, I had played a game the night before.
You had played a baseball game. That's right. But you were just destroyed.
I was. It was the first game.
Yeah. And you're not much for stretching, I don't think.
I wasn't.
You weren't. But now maybe, right?
Now I am.
This stuff,
Now I do it on my own at home.
this stuff is just, it's truly, we cannot forget how these people lied and cheated, and they stole a freaking election. It's crazy. I mean, like, I know we know that, but the brazen nature of it and then the bullying tactics to get you to shut up. Holy cow. Sometimes I just have to circle back to that.
Jen.
Just got to remember with my inner Pisake what's going on. I think this illegal alien thing is going to be bigger than the economy.
The what?
I think the illegal immigrants and all that stuff.
It is.
I think it's bigger than the finances right now. I think people.
I don't think people will say it, but I think it is.
So the theme of today's show, if there is one, is the panic is real. And I think that you have people who have been comfortable on the left, people in the uniparty right, swamping together, doing everything contrary to what we need, what we want, what's good for us, in order to hide their fraud and malfeasance, their treasonous activity, their impeachable offenses, and to basically desperately, cravenly stay in office. I really don't think there's much of a debate about that. But they're panicking now because this mass migration that's been going on, this whole global compact on kumbaya, open up your doors, let everybody from everywhere come in, which is so ripe for everything wrong, is going to be the tipping point. And I think this new Breitbart story is very illustrative of that. I would be surprised if Donald Trump isn't ahead of Joe Biden all across the country. And if his lead isn't far greater, even this far out, than they suggest it is. Because people can see. You see what's going on. You feel what's going on. And you don't need the media to try to tell you some song and dance that's not right. You know. Michigan poll shows Trump leading Biden as voters express support for mass deportation of illegal aliens. That's going to be it. Because you know for a second, if any of those people coming across the southern border were Donald Trump voters, Joe Biden's administration would have built a wall that was 80 feet tall and 30 feet deep, made of kryptonite, for heaven's sakes. They would not have let anybody cross. You obviously know this. Here's the story. Former President Donald Trump has the edge on President Joe Biden in the critical swing state of Michigan. This is according to a Spry Strategies poll, and it continues a trend in the Wolverine state that has persisted for months. This is a locked and loaded, diehard blue state. What the heck? Well, the poll released last night also finds that most voters in the state back mass deportation of illegal aliens. Apparently, there's not enough white, college-educated, progressive, liberal women in Michigan to sway the results here. Everybody else is awake, and they realize the alleged do-goodery of humanity and getting to the root causes of migration is a smokescreen for stealing your stuff and giving it to other people who don't deserve it. In a head-to-head matchup, I think this is huge. This is April 3rd. In a head-to-head matchup with Joe Biden, Trump leads 48 to 43.7%. Another 8.3% of respondents were unsure, didn't have an opinion, blah, blah, blah. Now, when you bring in RFK Jr., Trump is still winning. It shrinks his margin a little bit. I think it's very interesting that it's because of this issue of illegal immigration that people even there in Michigan have seen the light. Now, let's look at some new political poll numbers. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Swing States poll just released several hours ago, 10 hours ago. In Michigan, as we said, this poll shows Trump up by 3. Pennsylvania, I'm sorry. This one's kind of fun because Pennsylvania sucks. I love Pennsylvania. I live in Pennsylvania, the countryside of Pennsylvania. The majority of people outside the big cities in Pennsylvania, lovely. You want to talk about a cancer ruining a state? Go to Philadelphia, go to Pittsburgh. Outlier a little bit, Erie, right? They've ruined the state. Pennsylvania, Trump up by 3. Nevada, Trump up 48-44, +4 for Trump. North Carolina, Trump up by 6, you guys, 49-43. Arizona by 5. Trump leads Georgia up by 1. And Wisconsin, neck and neck, allegedly, 46-46. Now, Michigan is very interesting to me. The spry strategies, they tried to gauge all the issues important to voters, finding that when combined, economic issues do lead the way. Duh. More than a third of respondents said either the cost of living or the economy generally were the top issues for them. That works out to be about 37% of the people who were polled. Abortion received the second highest response. Really? Really? Because it's so interesting to me. There's a really cool way to not need an abortion, right? Don't get pregnant. Make better, right? I think we can have a conversation about rape and all sorts of other cutouts and all these things. I get it. That's going to be what moves 21% of the voters in Michigan. I'm sorry. Illegal immigration registered as the next highest rated top issue for voters at 14.6%. I'm going to say this now. Those things are going to switch. Immigration is going to go up. People are going to care less about abortion, even though the Democrats are going to beat that to a pulp. And the poll further finds a majority of voters, 51.6%, feel their family's economic security and personal safety was better under Donald Trump. 37% say it's better now. Zoning in further on the border and immigration, 55.7% of likely Michigan voters rate the current situation at the southern border at a crisis level. Another 21.6% said the situation is a serious problem. And most Michiganders back a mass deportation effort to remove illegal aliens from the country, including 43.7% who would strongly agree with such an undertaking. Look, this is the time for the left to begin to panic because we are just getting the beginning of the financial and the physical safety effects of having millions of people in our country who we weren't prepared to welcome, who we don't have the finances to welcome. And you're going to hear stories coming up in the broadcast, which will blow your mind, about people being kicked out of their homes so that migrants can move in. It is not fiction. It is reality. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, America is drug-addled, and we're going to focus on one specific place in Michigan. Wow. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. This poll, guys, Michigan, if they really think that abortion supersedes immigration, that's going to change in probably the next month.
Well, hopefully the Republicans get off their keisters and stop talking about it as a...
Yeah. What we want to do? We want to make it safe. We want to make things safe in our states.
Yeah, throw the safe and effective at them.
How about we just focus on getting back to normal?
I did read a story a while back about abortion and why a lot of and economics was up there.
What do you mean?
Like why people had abortions. They couldn't afford it.
Right.
Like they couldn't afford raising a child.
Here's my point, and I've said it before, like your body, your choice, your life, right? But I don't think that up to, it's like the whole LGBT thing, like men swimming with women and invading their locker rooms. Like you cross over that sane, crazy continuum, and then there's no going back. Like aborting a child days from delivery that's barbaric. That's not what civilized people do. And they want to go extra. And it's like, come on. Everything doesn't have to be to the very last degree. It doesn't have to be insane. You know, what's crazy is if you don't help us support SponsorJ6.com. SponsorJ6.com. I'm teasing. You guys have done so much for us with SponsorJ6.com. Obviously, I'm working with J6 prisoner Jake Lang. He is through in his prison cell, essentially running a business to encourage people like us on the outside to give a few bucks, even become a monthly subscriber, so that a January 6th defendant can get their commissary, can get their shampoo, can get things that they need that are considered like extra. And it's important. There's also the J6 legal fund, which is huge because, you know, some of these wives who are left now with the house and the kids and everything, they can't pay the mortgage. And so they're losing their homes. They're losing their cars. Like, you should not be bankrupted and kicked onto the street because your government hates your husband, you know? So sponsor J6.com. It just makes sense. And all the money goes to them. So I obviously care much about it.
What blows my mind is the 8% that don't have an opinion. And, you know, for the people who say don't trust the polls, and this is I'll give a cheap plug for Rich.
Oh, he's great.
I look at his polling and he breaks it down by tabs. I mean, it's so, when you get polling on Fox or CNN or any of them, it says like, how do you feel about the economy? He breaks it down even further than that. Are you better off? How's your income? You know,
did you hear that Whoopi Goldberg said that was a stupid question?
Yeah.
That's a dumb question.
No, it's not.
No, it's really not.
It's really
it's like when you assess your marriage or your children's development. Are they better off today than they were 3 years ago? Have they grown? Right? Are you glad you made that decision? Are you better off? You hope so, right? But that's what we do in life. You have to. You shouldn't do that, Whoopi Goldberg says. These people have twisted themselves into pretzels, and it's funny to watch.
They just, that's the only way you can truly assess it. Am I better off with X or Y? Am I better off with Joe Biden, or am I better off with Donald Trump? You ask me, that's where the vote comes down to. Not one particular issue in your life, but the whole thing. You know, like, am I happier when my taxes are lower? Yes. Am I happier when I can afford groceries? Was I happier than when I could afford a better interest rate on my house? Was I happier when I could afford a car? Was I happier when I could afford to go out to eat with family and friends? Am I unhappy that Donald Trump, in the decision of the court case, sent abortion back to the states? No, I'm not unhappy. And here's the thing. If you're on the left, you should be happy too, because you have more of a say. That's what Republicans say. That's what they need to come out and say. Listen, if you're a leftist and voting on this, this is a state issue. We want nothing to do with it. Make sure you vote for your state people who
That's
are.
what the Supreme Court was doing. They were like, yo, we don't.
Let your state, you have more say. That's what blows my mind. And that's where the Republican Party drops the ball, and they let the Democrats run with it and just say, abortion ban. No, if you don't like your state's decision, you can move.
Let's see how you guys are doing. 1.79.
I'm fussy.
11.9. You guys are jamming.
It's hot in here.
Is it hot?
Yeah.
Do you want my thingy dingy?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. It's really yours. You bought it.
Wasn't even a write-off.
Well, you're such a jerk. Freaking fantastic.
Well, you know.
That's fantastic.
I had to work 6 months for that. And that was the cheap one. I got it a deal.
So the story out of Detroit, and I look at Detroit, I remember when I was in college at the University of Colorado, and I had a boyfriend named Brian, and he was from New Jersey. Now, I had never been to New Jersey, and he invited me home for spring break to meet his parents and to hang out and to meet some of his high school friends, whatever, my freshman, sophomore year, something like that in college. And so I did. And I had an image of New Jersey as just being this crap hole. It was beautiful. He lived out in the countryside, and we had to train in and get off at this train station, which was very quaint, and ride in these beautiful hillsides. It's not unlike rural Pennsylvania. It was magnificent. I always thought of New Jersey the way I think of Detroit, which is unfair, but the press that is gotten in these cities that are basically run into the ground by diversity hires and equity lunacy and people who are incompetent, who check boxes, and beyond that, people who are corrupt, who get money from George Soros and other people who have a vested interest in the destruction of America. And if they have to chip away at it, one ballot box, one bad politician, one corrupt district attorney, one bribed, blackmailed judge at a time, so be it. This is where James O'Keefe's undercover into Act Blue and the millions and tens and hundreds of millions of dollars that have funneled through this Act Blue fraudulently using people who have no idea that their identities have basically been stolen to create the illusion that they're giving all of this money to Democrat candidates. All of this stuff comes together. And the collateral damage, of course, is our communities. Detroit. This is a devastating headline. I'm glad it happened. But for every 90 pounds of fentanyl seized from a Detroit gas station owner, how much don't we know about? How about this? Fox 2 Detroit headline, I just told you, 90 plus pounds of fentanyl. Now, what do we know about fentanyl? It is scary as balls because, if you were to take your salt shaker and twist it, your grinder, and grind it, and take one little piece of that salt that you would put on your food and imagine that was fentanyl, that's enough to kill you, right? We've heard stories of police officers doing, pulling somebody over. There's a medical emergency. The police officer tries to give resuscitation. You've heard about this. And there's fentanyl on the person's lips. And then the cop gets it and gets poisoned and almost dies. That is how, and we have an open door for it from China. We have Mexico allowing China to put in drug making facilities along the border. And then we're just supposed to say, come on in. Come on in. Make sure your kids pack it somewhere in their body. Ew. 90 pounds in Detroit. Neighbors had no freaking idea. A traffic stop leading to the seizure of more than 90 pounds of fentanyl from a Detroit gas station, according to a federal court filing. This has been going on for months. A Livonia police officer stopped a driver. The driver had drugs. The driver cooperated. Driver told him about his dealer. Investigators, thank God, they haven't all been defunded in Detroit. Because do you guys want to know how many people 90 pounds of fentanyl can kill? Just ballpark. Where do you want to go with that? 20 million. 20 million. Take out the entire state of Michigan in that one endeavor. Now, we snagged a television report, and I want you to hear it. It's almost matter-of-factly delivered. If I were to tell you there were pounds of cocaine and meth, 90 pounds of fentanyl, guns, money. It's sort of like a ho-hum thing going on. What? Listen.
The neighbors are totally devastated. devastated to learn this home on Littlefield Street in Detroit was allegedly a stash house for drugs, and equally disturbed by the police accusation that their neighbor was destroying lives with fentanyl.
I've been a resident here at Littlefield for over 50 years, and there's never been an incident like this.
Makes sense, because investigators say they haven't seen anything like this either.
I'd like to announce that the largest seizure of fentanyl to date in the state of Michigan was made by our officers on March 28th.
Over 90 pounds of fentanyl in powdered and pill form, enough to kill more than 20 million people, according to the DEA. An historic discovery, and as detailed in this federal complaint, this case involves Livonia Police, Michigan State Police, Clinton Township PD, and the DEA. Livonia Police Captain Gregory Yan says it all started with a single traffic stop in Livonia back in September. The person in that incident committed a minor drug violation, eventually leading investigators to 55-year-old Barry Willis, known as Blue. According to investigators, the suspect owns this Citgo gas station and attached car wash on Detroit's west side. It's on Livernois near Davison, and ironically, it happens to be a green light partner with Detroit police. I stopped by the gas station, was asked to leave, and I left my contact information. It's one of 3 locations police searched after months of surveillance and undercover drug deals with Willis. Investigators searched the home on Littlefield Street as well as Willis's home on Dorchester Court in Clinton Township, where they arrested Willis for alleged drug trafficking. In addition to the fentanyl, police also recovered more than $150,000 in suspected drug profits, over 6 pounds of cocaine, other drug paraphernalia, expensive jewelry, and guns.
There is not a lot of traffic to make it seem as though it might be a narcotics location.
This neighbor did not want to be identified because of his employment, but he recalls another person being detained. And according to the complaint, police did take a person into custody at the Littlefield location.
That really surprised me. It did.
I can say this, that you don't sell this quantity of narcotics without having other people. You can't be a sole source and do this alone.
The reason I wanted to play this for you guys, you got me at 90 pounds, which kills 20 million people. And the guy who's doing this story is very like, police say they also found 6 pounds of cocaine, which is enough to kill. Right. What are we doing? Nobody's like pants on fire, like breaking news. Wow. It's just sort of like, yeah, 90 pounds fentanyl. It's like, what? This cavalier ho-hum. Yeah, it's a lot of drugs. You think? What? It's absolutely astonishing to me. Now, I could run with this a little bit as I'm standing at the dining room table assembling my jigsaw puzzle of today's insanity, right? They need you high. They need people addicted. They need us on our knees. They want you crippled. They need you destitute. That's the whole thing. That is what the Savior is all about. Oh, you need help. Don't try. Let us come and help you. I know it's too hard. It's ridiculous. Is this one of the many reasons that I'm connecting these dots? So I follow these people on X. End Wokeness. Great handle. And this person puts it, holy crap. Did you guys know that the number of voters registering without a photo ID is skyrocketing in 3 very specific key swing states? Arizona, Texas, and Pennsylvania, the land before time. Why do you think I talk about Pennsylvania so much? People are registering to vote without identification. Here we go. Texas. You want to know how many people have registered to vote without voter ID? Here we go. Photo ID. Nope, not needed. 1.2 million. 1.2 million. Pennsylvania, 580,000 people. Since the start of 2024, 580,513 people have registered to vote in Pennsylvania without a voter identification, photo ID. In Arizona, in just the first 3 months of this year, 220,731. Now, this apparently Illegals are not able to get licenses in these places, but they can get Social Security cards for work authorization permits. And that apparently is usable to register to vote. Does anybody out there see what is going on? So we've got the flood of drugs, kind of ho-hum. Yeah, well, we could kill everybody with the fentanyl we seized. Thank God we found it, right? So once you high, once you scared, once you addicted, drug-addled, desperate, on your knees, needing government assistance, I can't do it on my own. As they're bringing in millions of people who they say will work, give them a Social Security card, let them bypass photo ID requirements, register to vote, bada bing, bada boom, and there you go, 2024. Now, it seems very simple. I don't know about you guys. When you hear Hillary Clinton, I'm not going to play it just yet. But when you hear Hillary Clinton saying something, are you guys all on the same page as I am and it's the exact opposite? If she's saying, be aware of something these other guys are doing, it's what she and the Uniparty are doing at present. And that is exactly what is happening before our very eyes. So I'm not at all surprised that Michigan is going to Donald Trump. Were you safer? Were you better off? Were your kids better? How did they do in school? Was everything just better 4 years ago? Whoopi Goldberg on The View got mad at her co-host for submitting that there's no question under Donald Trump. And it was Alyssa Farrow, whatever her name is, whatever. She said, yeah, better under Trump. And Whoopi Goldberg basically shut her down. You're not allowed to say that. That's a stupid benchmark. The only benchmark you have. And then you bounce back to what I started with at the beginning of the program, that we know demonstrably in the middle of the night when all these new ballots that were pristine, that were never folded, that allegedly came in the mail, all creaseless, all filled out the same way. And it was more than 140,000 of them. And you're supposed to just say, I'm sure it was no big deal. The reporter with the 90 pounds, I'm sure it's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Do not be numb to the suck. This cannot be normal. It has to be pushed back on, period. And that's why that 4-year question is so daggone important. So we're going to talk about this on the flip side. Can you afford to retire? We've seen all these videos of like 85-year-old people going to work as greeters at Walmart. And you're like, oh my gosh, shouldn't you just be home living on retire? Well, what if you don't have enough anymore? Because it's too expensive. What people think they need to have basically on hand to retire in Joe Biden's America. Next on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hi, this is Kelly Morgan, owner of Morgan's Fitness.
You know, maybe it's just me. Maybe if you're a cop and you've been involved in a lot of drug busts and you've seen a lot of jazz in your career, 90 pounds of fentanyl is not a big deal. I'm totally dumbfounded by kind of the blasé. Like, yeah, there's no way this person could have been operating this by himself. I'm like, what? You guys were investigating for 6 months. Who else did you pick up? Did you get to the heart of it? Did you get the head of the snake? I don't know.
I think the breaking news is Brock's never retiring. At the number you're going to hear of what people think they need to retire comfortably. Because really, you want to retire comfortably because you don't want to sit there and have to worry about groceries or...
Are you going to get your medication?
Yeah. Or am I going to eat? Yeah. This number's crazy.
All right, guys, you've heard of the CERT food diet. And by the way, you can click on there's a link below the video box here that has all of our sponsors and the respective links to them. So you don't have to write anything down. But this CERT food diet was certainly popular among the Hollywood class. It's not really a restrictive diet. It's all about specific foods. These two guys found out that we should all be adding to our diet. And I found out some of them. buckwheat, capers, celery, cocoa, coffee, extra virgin olive oil, green tea, kale, dates, parsley, turmeric, strawberries, red chicory, all this stuff. And you're like, well, how the hell am I going to get all that in my diet? If it's supposed to make me focus, it's going to help my cognition. It's going to help streamline my body, my muscles when I exercise. This is going to change my everything. Well, you get it in the jar and they boil it down into something called Cert Juice. Getcert.com/Wendy. I think it's fantastic. I drink it every day. It's very easy to drink. It is refreshing. Put a couple ice cubes in it and it's nice. And you're going to get $20 off this amazing product. And they basically say this by combining all these ingredients into one revolutionary, powerful drink. You can get all of the benefits of this diet in just one thing by just drinking it. Okay. Getcert.com. I think it's great. Getcert.com/Wendy. $20 off. Pretty nice discount. It's a nice thing to get into your routine. I was particularly interested in the cognition part of it. Just saying. Brock, you don't think you have enough money to retire? Is that right?
Good joke.
It's interesting talking with my oldest son, Michael. Michael's going to be leaving in the next couple months. He's going to start his own shtick. And I know it's terrifying. Of course, it's terrifying for anybody. But we've been having conversations, talking about taxes, talking about saving, talking about IRAs, 401ks. How does all this work? What is the goal? And of course, all I say is if you start saving now, even if you don't have a lot, if you start getting into that habit now and put it away, and you just use the law of what is it? 8? Every 8 years, your investment money's double, ostensibly in the market, kind of rule of thumb, right? Your money is going to double a lot more times, many more times when you start young than if you were to start at my age. And so we talk about the nuts and bolts of basic saving. How much do you need, do you think, in Joe Biden's America today to retire and to be able to live comfortably? So you're not like, I need to go get something, but I'm afraid to go do it. I'm on a fixed income. I mean, nobody really wants that as their retirement where you're limited. Like you've worked your whole life. This is time to love and live. How about this? Breitbart.com. Amount of money people believe they need for retirement jumps 53% in Joe Biden's America. Bidenflation apparently freaking people out as they look forward to their retirement years. I don't know. You look forward to it or you're like, holy crap. The amount of money American adults believe they will need to save in order to retire has jumped 15% over last year and 53% since 2020. Hey, Whoopi Goldberg. What was better, 4 years ago or today? Because apparently 4 years ago seemed a lot more affordable. It would take, you ready? This is according to people who were surveyed, $1.46 million to retire comfortably. This is according to a recent survey of just about 4,600 adults released yesterday. This is for the Wall Street Journal. That's up from 1.27 million a year ago and over 1 million more than the average survey participant's nest egg. So the average participant has 400,000 saved for retirement. And they are down more than double what they need, allegedly. That is mind-bending. Anxiety about retirement is sky high, said an economist named Teresa Ghilarducci. She said this to the Wall Street Journal. Concerns about healthcare costs. Wait a minute, I thought we had Obamacare, right? If you want to keep your doctor, you want to keep your insurance, go ahead. I mean, that's what they told us, right? For years. And instead, all of your healthcare costs went through the roof and the quality of care went through the floor. Great job, Barack. You're awesome. Now, this is what the Wall Street Journal is saying, and this is directed to millennials. Those born between the early 1980s and late 1990s sharply raised their estimates compared with before the pandemic. When they retire, millennials now expect to need $1.65 million. That's up from just under $1 million in 2020. So this is after ostensibly you pay off your house, if you can afford that anymore, which you probably can't, because they've made it in such a way that renting is more affordable. So you get nothing. You own nothing and you have nothing and you like it. That's the point. 1.65 million. That's up from just under 1 million in 2020. Baby boomers born between 1946 and 1964 said that they would need about $990,000. That's up from $830,000 in 2020, according to the poll. Pandemic has nothing to do with this change in outlook. What people are freaking out about, understandably, is the cost of voting Democrat. In just a little over 3 years, the cost of everything, especially the basics, housing, energy, food, it's all exploded. We watch like the most basic thing when 99-cent eggs under Donald Trump jumped to $4 under Joe Biden. And I saw them more than that. Gas jumped from $2.40 under Trump to $3.53 today. And of course, you know the real part, the housing. Under Joe Biden, though, the only stability is a lack of stability, and I agree with that. It's the only thing that he's got going for him is it's predictably awful. And when you've been beaten and slapped enough, you come to expect it. They want you living in an abusive government. All of the signs are there. They want to control what you spend. They want to control what you buy. They want to control what you say. They want to control the information you're allowed to hear. They want to control even what you wear, what you put into your body. They want all of it, just the way an abusive partner wants to control mentally and physically everything about his or her partner. Abuse. And the mental anguish for young people, millennials, I'll say young people because I'm middle-aged, the anguish knowing at this rate that there is no possible way to stay on this trajectory to meet the goals that I think every worker sets out to accomplish when they enter the workforce. Someday, I'm not going to have to do this anymore. Someday, I'm going to retire and be able to do what I want, where I want, how I want, and with whom I want. And this government says, no, you don't. We're the ones who will decide. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program, you cannot make this crap up. I've got 2 huge stories about this Juan Merchan, the judge in Donald Trump's hush money trial. Is it not enough that his daughter gives him a huge conflict of interest? Now his wife, we find out, worked for Letitia James. What? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. The seeping in and robbing you of dreams to bring you down to this level, that's bottom up, middle out. We're going to lift up people at the various lowest rungs, and we're going to take everybody, put them in the same category. Don't dream big. Don't plan big. Don't have wishes. Don't work hard. We gotcha. All these drugs. Just stay calm. Just stay high. We've got it. Right? That's what we heard, Brock, for a year and a half.
And for all the people, I'm not planning on retiring, but as long as she's going. So when she retires, I go get a job somewhere else at like a golf course cutting grass. That way, I've already thought this out. That way, I can afford to golf.
it's not wrong to have a dream where, and like, this is mine. And Brock knows it because I've shared with him. It's like being somewhere with access to the sea, a place that I could drop in a fishing line,
drink a beer,
and sit and drink a beer and fish and golf and have a kick-ass garden. That sounds pretty good. Doesn't it sound pretty good? Like, I don't need to see the world, whatever. I don't need to. If I never go to Italy, I never go to Italy. I definitely want to go to Barcelona someday. It's on my bucket list. But honestly, if I never, ever, ever saw any other place, if I was by the shore and I could fish and I could golf and I could be with my family, that's victory. Morgain's Fitness, Morgainz Fitness. I know a lot of you listening out there don't have access to this special slice of patriotic fitness in Western Pennsylvania, 4 locations, Somerset, Cambria County. But if you do, and you happen to go there and you are a member and you have a personal trainer, they have a little duke out. They're fighting it out to see who the best trainer is. Beyond that, it's a great place to go and get your body back, get your confidence back, get on a treadmill, get on an elliptical, learn how to lift some weights. Come on, ladies, you can do it. Come on, guys. Time to address the belly, right? We can do it. Morgain's Fitness. She does it every day with people. Morgainz Fitness. I did, by the way, ask Kelly if she would share with me a picture of herself in her bodybuilding bikini at the age of, I think, she 55, 54? Doesn't look like it. So she's competing in this bodybuilding competition. I hate her. I really don't, but it's awesome. All right, let's see what you guys are up to. Up to 7:45 on X. Hi, guys. Welcome. We are... Oh, John, thank you for the $5 for Brock's retirement fund. That is so nice. That is so nice. See, all the money comes to me, so you're actually expecting me to pass it
right.
along.
That's...
Isn't that neato how I do all of that?
Well, my plan is to still do odd jobs and just overcharge her. Like when the grass needs cut or the dog needs walked or...
What are you talking about?
A hole needs dug.
Dog? Wow.
Dug.
See, one of the beautiful colloquialisms of Southwestern Pennsylvania is the lack of the verb to be. So that's where you get this. Wow, $20 from Brock for Brock's lunch fund.
Lunch.
Drops. What are you doing? Brock's lunch fund. Why did you say that you had a lunch fund?
I didn't say I had a lunch fund.
I don't feel like you need a lunch fund, but okay.
Maybe a bar tab fund, but not a lunch fund.
Drops is Grumpy Monkey, right? Is that Grumpy Monkey? No? I don't know.
No, but he gives for Grumpy Monkey.
Oh, okay.
I say he, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. It was 8 years ago that I got fired. Yes, you're right. It was end of March, I think.
Well, the drop says take Brock to lunch.
2016.
$5.
Wow.
That doesn't. Sorry to say, that doesn't even cover a beer these days.
Would you stop it?
Am I lying?
No.
Okay. Well, that was not fake news.
You made it sound like I'm an expensive date.
I said nothing of that. I said it doesn't cover a beer. What do you get your...
Oh my God. Ultra. $5.
Now that's a fund we need to start.
Rockstars Golf Fund.
I can't afford the club.
We don't accept your kind there.
See what I do is I climb in a golf bag. Mm-hmm. So I need to drop a few more pounds.
No. What he says is we need to go to the range. We should go to the range. I'm like, okay, let's go to the range.
Some of us need the range and some of us just need to pull up to the first tee and smack one down the middle. I'll let you guys decide who needs to go to the range.
It does dog leg to the left, though.
Doesn't matter when you hit it down the middle.
Oh. Can you clear it?
Yep.
No.
No, I can't clear the bend, but I can hit it down the middle of the fairway.
I'm such a good golfer.
Well,
You guys should
see,
love
the
it.
joke behind that is we get up on the first tee at the club, which I've never golfed before. And,
He
you
asks
really
me
can't
if he
tell.
can clear it.
I'm like,
I don't
is
think
that
yes,
clear?
yes.
I didn't ask you if I could clear. I'm like, is that clearable? She's like, oh, yeah. Like, yeah. So I get up and I ripped it. I hit it pretty well and not even close to covering the bend. And then once I played the hole, I realized I could play driver, 9-iron, and get on the green, which I should have just done and not.
Wow, I'm so proud that you didn't say I could have just did. That's a huge. Oh, Brock's Grammar Fund. That's what we should be contributing to.
Is that going to get me around to golf then?
The next telethon. Private tutorial.
And once we're done golfing, it's straight to the car for me. There's no like, let's get lunch at the club. Straight to the car. And I have to park in the lot far, far away. Like the overflow lot.
I'm getting an alert. I'm trying to get the second story in this block, Brock, and it's not pulling up from the post. For some reason, it's blocking me.
Let me see if you want me to send again.
Yeah, if you can see if you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. Trump, 75 million, 80 million votes. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going anywhere. Even if Trump does, you're not, which I think remains one of our big campaign strengths going forward. They can't separate you from Trump. And more importantly, they can't separate you from the ideas. They can't separate you from MAGA. They can't separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program. Delighted as always to welcome you to the show. We've got a great interview coming up in the second segment of this hour. We're going to be talking from prison in Cumberland, Maryland, the federal lockup with Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes. And it's an important conversation because I don't think you've ever really been told from the founder of the group himself what they're all about and what they are not. And you are going to hear that, and it's important. So that's just about a half hour away. This headline, this whole story, this ridiculous fake justice, the knives that have been out for Donald Trump, it's so disappointing when you look at it and step away and you realize how many people have to be corrupted, conned, bribed, blackmailed, down with this fraud for Donald Trump to be in these court cases right now. And the conflicts of interest, truly, truly breathtaking. All right. So you've got this hush money case, which is not even a case. It was Michael Cohen, unbeknownst to Donald Trump, if the court documents that I've seen are accurate, deciding as one of Donald Trump's lawyers at the time to pay off this porn star, Stormy Daniels, who alleged to have some sort of sexual relationship with Donald Trump. It is a relationship Donald Trump has denied repeatedly. However, as anybody who is powerful, who has deep pockets realizes, there are people who come out of the woodwork and will say and do anything to cash in on a payday. It's gross. And those of us who would never think about doing it are mystified, but it happened. So what do we know subsequent to this case, this indictment, and these criminal charges saying that Trump had to alter some financial documents in some kind of a cover-up before the 2016 election to pay off this porn star and say, shh, don't talk about it. Well, all of the predicate is garbage, right? The judge in this case could not be more conflicted if he tried. Period. So what do we just find out? This is a story in the Epic Times, broke today. Wife of judge in Trump hush money trial worked for AG Letitia James. So you're going to have 4 different DAs persecuting and prosecuting Donald Trump for a whole menagerie of things. One of whom is George Soros funded, the woman who campaigned on destroying Donald Trump. That was her mission. It wasn't to take care of crime and law and order in New York. It wasn't about anything like that. It was about pulverizing, destroying, and giddily, gleefully campaigning on her derangement over Donald Trump. And the wife of the judge overseeing this case worked for this woman? Do you not think that might be a bing, 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 bing? I'm no constitutional expert. I'm just going to go here. My rudimentary skills of court cases would tell me that looks really bad. Records show that the wife of the judge presiding over President Trump's criminal trial in Manhattan once worked for AG Letitia James, sparking claims of bias. You think? I'm going to go with yeah. Laura Merchant, the wife of the judge presiding over former President Donald Trump's hush money case in Manhattan, once worked for New York Attorney General Letitia James, who brought the massive $350 million civil fraud case against the former president, with the revelation reviving claims of bias and calls for the judge's recusal. This judge repeatedly has gagged Donald Trump's ability to ask for a new judge, to present evidence to the American people that there is a monster conflict of interest. And this is just the new part, because, of course, we've been talking about Judge Merchant's daughter. Records interviewed by the Epic Times show Ms. Merchant, this is the wife of the judge, worked for 21 years as a special assistant to the AG in New York, including 3 years under Letitia James. She changed jobs over 2 years ago. Such weird timing, isn't it? So strange. Ms. James is a Democrat who fixated on President Trump as she campaigned for New York Attorney General, calling him a con man and vowing to shine a, quote, bright light into every dark corner of his real estate dealings. Well, she began investigating the former president soon after taking office, which is so weird. That's like around the time that this judge's wife switched jobs. It's almost like they had an end game and we're going to work backwards, right? Judge Juan Merchant is presiding over a separate criminal trial involving President Trump in New York, in which the former president is accused of falsifying business records in order to conceal a $130,000 hush money payoff to an adult performer to stay quiet about their alleged affair. Trump on Truth Social accused Judge Merchant of bias and corruption while labeling the case against him election interference and also demanding the judge's recusal. How did that get responded to? Shut up. You're not allowed to talk. Really? Now, this Merchant, this judge, imposed the gag order on President Trump in the case and on April 1st expanded it. So on Monday, expanded the gag order to include family members of the judge. Wait a minute. Donald Trump has evidence of a conflict of interest, and he wants people to know about the conflict of interest that the judge and the left don't want you to know about. So the judge, who's being accused of his conflict of interest, which clearly he has, instead of addressing said conflict, slaps a muzzle on Donald Trump and says, "And thou shalt not talk about my family." But it's your family that's the conflict. Oh, you guys see it? Of course you do. The judge wrote in the order that President Trump's speech, quote, injects fear in those assigned or called to participate in the proceedings, that not only they, but their family members as well are fair game for the defendant's vitriol. First of all, I don't know anybody out there who's conservative who would take the time to letter write or fearmonger to a judge or his family. So that's bogus. That's the smokescreen. This judge is so conflicted. And I'll just remind you, if it's not enough that his wife has been working with the Attorney General's office for 2 decades, it's probably worth noting again that the Democrat clients of that Judge Merchan's daughter raised $93 million off of this hush money trial. How's that possible, you say? 2 major Democratic clients of the daughter of the judge overseeing Trump's hush money trial have raised at least $93 million in campaign donations. And they've used the case in their solicitation emails, raising renewed concerns that the jurist has a major conflict of interest. So wait a minute. Donald Trump, when he finds out all this stuff, isn't allowed to talk about it, but the Democrats are allowed to fundraise off of this case. They're allowed to go to every single media outlet they wish. They get to be on the evening news, hook, line, and sinker any day of the week. And Donald Trump can't talk about it. Does that mean anything to you guys? That's a threat to democracy. That is election interference incarnate. That is everything that the left says Republicans want to accomplish in 2024. They've already done it. They've already done it. When we come back, I want to talk about this $93 million a little bit more deeply. Because not only are they allowed to muzzle a political candidate, they get to get rich off of prosecuting him. Oh boy, next on the Wendy Bell radio program. There's nothing to see here. Those are conspiracy theories.
People the Wheeze, now a monthly supporter. Thank you.
Aw. That was awful nice. Thank you. Man, we're rolling in the dough.
Well, you used a plural.
We're? People the, yes, people the
we.
The we. Aw, thank you. That's awesome.
Are we rolling in the rumbles is the question, though.
I haven't looked.
No. We're not. Don't look. You'll be discouraged. I don't want you to be discouraged.
I'm not discouraged. I do, however, find that I look like I am very pale. Does everybody else see the paleness?
Well, there hasn't been much sun. It's because your teeth are super, super white.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh. How you doing? All right, let me tell you about the Simkovich.
I do have to park with the hired help at the club.
What?
Then take the employee shuttle to the bag drop. Brock keeps it.
That's so not true. That's
It
so
really
not true.
is.
It really isn't.
And that if
We
that's if the
parked and
shuttle
then-
runs. If the shuttle's not running, I have to walk and carry my clubs. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, it's not that big, but nice try.
About a half a mile.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. You're such a progressive.
Oh,
Do you have ovaries too?
wow. Wow.
I want to tell you about the Simkovich Concussion Institute, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. Obviously, what you need after a traumatic brain injury is somebody who's an expert. I don't think that bouncing around to find the right person behooves anybody, particularly if you've been scrambled. And a lot of people, a concussion can impact people's ability to walk. I mean, let alone sleep through the night or be able to function on the job or focus in school or do your normal life's duties, right? You need the expert, and his name is Charles Simkovich. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. 412-366-3700. 412-366-3700. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. Ask about their intense concussion protocol treatment thing, okay? Because it gets you in, it saturates you with their care, their knowledge, their expertise, and it gets you fixed in the shortest amount of time. That's what I would want. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. I love them.
I basically just walk to the sixth hole and start there. It's closer than the first hole from where I have to park.
Well, you know what the good news is, since you won't be golfing at all with me this summer, you won't have to lament how wrongly you've been treated. Schmobby and Tris probably want to golf. So we'll tell you all about it.
The last time I golfed, I was more there for the instructional part than the
Who were you with, Bob?
Tris.
Tris, yeah. Hey, I'm appreciative of that.
Go,
when you pick up
Schmobby,
golf as a 45-year-old, you're not going to probably be as good as somebody who's 13 or 14 doing it.
No.
So you're a good mimic, though. You'll mimic my movements, and I can totally tell I'm doing it, and they're they're quite spot on.
Tris was great because all I had to do is explain things to him. He wasn't about the get up, grip, and rip, you know. And a lot of times,
like Happy Gilmore.
Yes, a lot of times I was amazed. I'll tell the story after this.
So it's one of those stories that involves and demands attention. It's not good enough to be bribed or blackmailed or to be compromised in any way after taking an oath. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're a juror. I don't care if you're taking a vow in marriage. There is supposed to be a sanctity, and that's not old-fashioned. I'm not prude to think that. I'm not idealistic. There is right and there is wrong. There is north, and if your compass points north, it's not complicated. This is the direction I want to walk. I believe in this. But the number of people we're seeing who I believe are so woefully corrupted, whose decisions have the ability to impact thousands of people's lives. I mean, millions if you think about it. I mean, this judge whose daughter, just take away that his wife for 20 years worked for the Attorney General's office, and that he's a judge, and that the Attorney General is his wife's boss, and that everybody is so uber political. And then let's just talk about the daughter, okay? This woman, she's 34 years old. She's not a child. She's the judge's adult daughter, an adult daughter who's been identified by some hack left court-ish judge attorney publication as like an up-and-comer in the field of like election law and campaigns and whatnot. No. The judge's daughter, Lauren Merchant, the president of Authentic Campaigns, a Chicago-based progressive political consulting firm whose top clients include Adam Schiff, who gave them $14 million while he was going after Donald Trump in the first impeachment. All of this has been so planned, and I feel so naively stupid that I'm just now standing at the dining room table looking at the puzzle picture, right? The pieces. And I'm just like, wait a minute. I've got your Lauren Merchant over there in Authentic Campaigns. You over here, you're working on Adam Schiff and impeachment. And we're seeing the connection where my puzzle pieces over here connect with yours. And it's all one giant ew. Authentic Campaigns, and thus the judge's daughter, actively making money from this sham attack against President Trump, rendering Judge Merchant conflicted out, one of Trump's spokespeople said, adding that the evidence of bias is even clearer now than it was in August when Merchant rejected Trump's first recusal motion. Wouldn't you think? If somebody in the case finds out that there's a connection that could put into jeopardy the outcome of said trial, which we all know they take years, are we going to waste millions and millions of dollars and endless hours of time and jury and all of this if we can tell you from moment number one that you shouldn't be the guy hearing this? This judge feels like he's got enough backing and cover to have the audacity to stay put. Ew! $93 million candidates connected to Judge Merchant's daughter's business. They were able to make and fundraise off of the case that this judge is overseeing. Is there nobody left with any ethics in the realm of justice? Of course not. And yet, curiously, coming up towards the end of the program, an absolute ridiculous story of pro-life, I guess you'd say, not protesters, but activists believing what they believe in, being arrested, found guilty, and now potentially sentenced to as much as a year in prison for speaking to women getting an abortion and asking them to rethink. This is not the United States of America. These are the United States of freaking bad crab crazy. And I'm pretty sure it's underscored by one man's voice that you will hear in a matter of moments on the other end of a phone connected through the Cumberland Federal Penitentiary, where the man who has been sentenced to 18 years in lockup, who spent more than a year of his life in solitary confinement, the leader, the founder of the Oath Keepers, Stuart Rhodes, from his mouth, what really is going on. Do not miss this. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. $93 million. Blatant money raising, fundraising, fraud. Donald Trump's not allowed to talk about it. Okay. Makes sense, right? So now let's ask this. Do we come back and I say something, or do we go right to this?
It's up to you.
What do you think?
You say Stuart Rhodes. But
what do I do? Just take 15 seconds off the top and set it up?
I would, I'm a big proponent of not pretending something's
right. I'm not
live.
trying to mislead.
Right.
I'm just wondering
right.
if it's
Say,
more
hey, we
confusing.
recorded this yesterday.
Okay.
After the show. And it's pretty interesting because at the end, I left the end the way it was. Because it's telling.
Why? I forget what happens.
Perfect timing.
It cuts out.
Cuts out. And through it, you'll hear, this is a call from. So it's just.
They have very strict rules about phone calls.
15 minutes.
Stuart, yeah. And when it's 15 minutes, it's lights out. Done.
And it's tough because we had to connect so many ways to get it on to be able to record it, that you lose track of how much time you actually have.
Right.
So
he's calling us, but there's a rule, and Stuart can lose his phone privileges for 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
So they need the phone number, they need the name, and they need the address of the person every prisoner is speaking with. So if Brock's voice showed up rather than my voice on the other end, they would shut off the interview and he would lose his privileges until the summertime. So I'm all panties in a bunch, right? I'm all worried about it. He's done all these things. He's like, you're going to merge the call. I'm like a clown. I didn't do it right. So we lost a couple minutes.
You're like, I can hear an echo. And I'm like,
Jesus. Thank God for him. But there's just jumping through some.
You did say panties.
I did. Unnies. How about bodybyaim360.com? Body by aim3. And I love this because just talking about it, I know several people have already called 412-227-9255. And they've gotten in touch with Darren Dubiak, Dr. Dubiak, and his wife, who is a certified nurse practitioner. She's fantastic. Allie Dubiak. And the whole team there, because Brock is on Monday starting this.
I get my first IV on Wednesday, which will be kind of nice. And I like the way they're doing it now. It's a little different for the reboot. If you need, for the people who don't know, I dropped 60 pounds using Body by Aim. And is it strict at the beginning? Yes, it is. It has to be. I lived so many years of not being strict that I needed to, but you learn how to eat. You learn what's good for you. Learn what's bad for you. Learn through the blood work itself, which you do need to get even to do the reboot so but they tailor it to you now. Like mine's going to be tailored to me. The IVs will be tailored, and they're doing like a subscription based thing where you don't have to pay for everything. You pay for what you want. If you want X, it's like what we say about TV. How many people complain saying, why do I have to have the Hallmark channel when I don't even watch the Hallmark channel? Well, now they're doing a subscription base, which is, I think, smart, because there's people like me who I just want what I need and what I want. And I don't need all the bells and whistles. Some people do. Some people need the coaching. I had you guys. I had 10,000 people watching me.
True story.
Fail or succeed. So, I mean, when you get put in that situation, you don't really need the coaching because there's no hiding, but you can do IVs. They have, in some of the stuff you get deals if you're a member, if you sign up for the membership and the subscription. They have the app. They do have the coaching. They have the IVs. They have the vitamins and all the things you need. I'm excited about it.
H. Berman, come on, really?
What?
Darius, you missed Wendy say panties. Sorry, you missed it.
No, I think it's great, and I can't wait to start again. I'd like to drop another 20.
Bodybyaim360.com 412-227-9255. It's nice to open up the conversation.
Yeah, and their blood work. The blood work is worth it. All on its own, the blood work is worth finding out what's wrong and just getting. And I know for me, just getting the inflammation down, which doesn't sound like much. It does. It until you realize, because you've lived with it for so long, until you realize that you don't have inflammation, you don't know you have inflammation.
Where did you notice it most? Knees?
All over.
All over.
All over. My flexibility came back. It didn't hurt to catch. It didn't. I noticed it all over. I didn't have the brain fog from all the crap I was eating.
It really looked as though it melted off of you. And I watched him.
It did, because
aside
you have
from
to.
you drinking a lot of water. Are you going to be back to that?
Yeah, I'll be peeing every break. I'll be tinkling.
Got to clean it out though, right?
That's part of the IVs too, which is nice. Odd silence.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Right now, I want to play for you an interview we did right after yesterday's show. I got a call from the federal penitentiary in Cumberland, Maryland. On the other side of the line was Stuart Rhodes, the founder of the Oath Keepers. You need to know what the media have not told you, and you need to hear it from Stuart's mouth. Rhodes, how the heck are you, sir? How the heck are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, all considered. Doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. And I want to quickly, before we even get started, how did we connect? How did you find out about this program?
I've been listening to your show. All the guys here at the Cumberland FCI listen to you at night. And that's where I first heard you, too. So you'd be surprised how many guys here listen to your show every night. Black, white, city guys, country boys, just across the spectrum.
I'm so grateful to hear your voice. You're such a misunderstood individual, I think, because you, as the founder of the Oath Keepers, you've been dragged through so much mud, Stuart Rhodes.
It's not a misunderstanding. It's a intentional demonization campaign from the very beginning. Yes.
Tell me about Oath Keepers. Tell me what this organization is about, who you guys are, what you were doing on January 6th, because I don't think anybody really knows.
A lot of folks among the Trump supporters know. We were throughout the entire Trump administration. We were in the streets protecting Trump supporters, including outside of all the Trump campaign rallies. Because Antifa likes to attack people when they've gone through Secret Service. They know they've gone through that screening. They can't carry anything, even a ballpoint pen. And so when they come out, they know they're vulnerable to being attacked. Antifa likes to attack, senior citizens and disabled veterans, and they hit you with bike locks and things like that. So we would wait outside the Trump campaign events, and we would have armed escorts waiting to escort the vulnerable back to their cars. And so a lot of folks do know who we are from that. And that's what we were doing on January the 6th. So we were there, again, to do security for 2 permitted events right outside the Capitol, right around the Capitol. And we've been there in November and December for the big Stop the Steal rallies in D.C. So we've been doing that for the entire time we've been around. And Oath Keepers is an association of both current serving and former military, police, firefighters, EMS. I was a paratrooper in the Army, and I was also a firefighter. So all of us who swore an oath to defend the Constitution, it's all about keeping that oath. That's what we are. But we've done quite a bit of volunteer security and also disaster relief. I believe it was 14 hurricane relief missions, too. So we always have built-in security whenever we go anywhere. So we're able to go into places that other relief agencies are afraid to go to. Any rough neighborhoods that are gang-dominated, we go in there, and they don't give us any hassle. They know we're there to help people, too. But on January the 6th, we were there to do 2 permitted events, security for two permitted events on Capitol grounds, one for Latinos for Trump, and the other one for Ali Alexander's event right outside the Capitol doors.
When did you know that things were going sideways and it wasn't what it was supposed to be on January 6th at the Capitol?
Well, this is an important point to make, is that Trump supporters, because of the history of Antifa attacking them in the streets, that's why so many of them were wearing helmets and goggles and knee pads and body armor, because Antifa likes to stab people. They just stabbed some people in D.C. in December. And they like to hit people in the head with bricks. And so, of course, they were going to protect themselves to whatever degree they could. And like with the Trump rallies, when folks were asked to go through Secret Service screening to get onto into the Lips rally, a lot of them didn't want to do that because they don't want to lose their helmet or their body armor or their hard knuckle gloves or all the things that they've gone through great pain to stay within the law. but also have the ability to defend themselves. That's what they were actually, quote unquote, armed with, were things that were meant to protect them against Antifa. So all this hyperbole you see and all this breathless, nonsense about, Trump supporters came armed to the Capitol and they refused to go through Secret Service because they want to give up their weapons. That's stuff that they were going to carry on them for defense against Antifa. And that's why we were there. And that's why the Proud Boys were there. So if it should have gone the same way the other ones went in November and December. So what I think happened is that the powers that be, the CIA, FBI, DHS, and trust me, I'll be proven correct. I think the CIA was involved in this. I think that they steered and manipulated the crowd to make sure they got into the Capitol, made sure that there was violence between the protesters and the police by having police officers who work for them directly violate the rights of people using excessive force.
This call is from a federal prison.
Think happened. So a very legitimate event, real people, real protest, was manipulated and then used for propaganda purposes. That's what I think happened.
What are you accused of doing?
I was accused of seditious conspiracy, but it's important for people to know that that's a pre-baked, predetermined narrative that started right after January 6th. Out of the next day, I think it was, the media was focusing on Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, saying that we led this insurrection, quote unquote insurrection. And the Oath Keepers who did go inside the Capitol, two of our teams kind of blundered in along with everybody else. They went in 20 minutes after Congress had already recessed and long after others had already entered the Capitol. And they walked in through doors already opened by other people. They didn't lead anything. But the narrative, and this is the big tell, Benny Thompson, who wound up chairing the January 6th Select Committee, member of Congress, he filed a lawsuit on February the 16th, 2021, just weeks after January the 6th, against President Trump, Rudy Giuliani, Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, alleging a conspiracy among us, with Trump as the kingpin, to attack democracy. And disenfranchise black voters. That was the narrative from the beginning, was to pump this up into being an insurrection, attach it to Proud Boys and Oath Keepers as the two scary groups that the left already hates, and then tie that to President Trump and allege a conspiracy between us all. So that's the narrative. And everything they've done ever since, all these show trials, all these coerced false confessions and coerced false testimony, have been to make that false narrative, the truth, quote unquote.
There is a very despicable bribery blackmail apparatus that underpins everything in the Beltway. Do you get that vibe?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's I wrote a series of open letters to President Trump, and along with Kelly Sorrell, my co-author, calling on him to. We said, look, the deep state, the swamp water is the secrets. It's the secrets that they use to both control and to protect the deep state, people that participate. And so I wanted him to use his absolute power as president to declassify anything, to go and seize the files in the FBI, CIA, NSA, etc., and declassify all the secrets, because that's what they do. They blackmail people or they bribe them, and then they have all the dirt on them, and they keep it secret. It's classified as secret, no one can disclose it, and that's how they protect them while they also control them. So he could have used his power as president to declassify, and still could if he gets back in, declassify it all and expose it. They can't stop him. As commander-in-chief, he can do that. He has absolute authority. That's the best way to take down the deep state. Toss all the skeletons out of the closet, show who has been bribed by the CCP, which of course includes the Biden family, but not just them. Who has been bribed by other foreign agencies, who have been caught, doing drugs or having sex with underage people, things like that. It's just that they're being controlled through those mechanisms. And all of the Five Eyes and all the intelligence agencies around the world do this all the time. They blackmail people all the time. That's what Hoover. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask. I was going to say, how have you been treated? Like you're not you're not a dumb guy. You have a law degree from Yale. You were a criminal defense attorney. Yes, you served in the military. You were injured. Right. You were disabled in the military. Yes.
Yes, I had a parachuting accident. I've got a spinal fusion. Yes.
And so, how are you treated in all of this? I mean, how long have you been behind bars?
You mean? They arrested me on January 13, 2022. It took them a year to coerce fake confessions and false testimony from other Oath Keepers. They threatened them with life in prison, and some of them, were military veterans who had PTSD. And so, I understand why they did that, but they were coerced into fake confessions. So they stacked up fake evidence against us and put us in front of a D.C. jury. It took them a year to do that. But then once I was arrested, I was in solitary confinement from there on. I was in solitary confinement for over a year. So all pretrial, and my criminal history is traffic tickets. So they denied me pretrial release on the basis of somehow being a danger to the community, even though I've been already out for a year after January 6th with no problems, of course, and had no prior criminal history. But they went ahead and put me in isolation anyway. So spent a year in solitary confinement. All during my trials in solitary confinement, then afterwards in the D.C. jail in solitary confinement. So, now I'm okay. This is a decent facility. I'm in a medium facility here, and the staff here is very professional and respectful. So I'm doing fine.
How long are you supposed to be serving your sentence?
18 years. Yeah. So I said at my sentencing, I started out by saying I'm a political prisoner. Like President Trump, my only so-called crime is opposing those who are destroying our country. And that ticked off Judge Mehta pretty good. So he hammered me with 18 years and basically said my free speech is too dangerous to have in our society. That's what he said. He said you're smart, you're charismatic, and a compelling figure, and that's what makes you dangerous. So I'm here for my free speech. They don't like my political speech, and also to use, like I said, to pump up January the 6th into something it was not. That's the most ridiculous insurrection in world history, most pathetic insurrection in world history. That's because it wasn't an insurrection; it was a protest.
Who the hell is Ray Epps?
Well, he was our Arizona chapter president until I believe 2012.
Whoa! Wait! What did you just say? He was what?
He was the Arizona state chapter president for Oath Keepers early on when we first started up, like 2011 and 12. And then he resigned because he said his family business was just too much for him to be able to give time to the organization. So he left. And we didn't see him or hear from him again until we saw the video that everybody else saw of him on the night of January the 5th in D.C. telling a crowd in the streets that, tomorrow we must go into the Capitol. He was yelling that to the crowd. That's where we saw him again for the first time in all those years.
This call is from a federal prison.
I had no idea that he was an Oath Keeper.
Yeah. Well, that's what's bizarre about what's going on with him. You would think that the J6 Select Committee would love to parade that fact all over the place. Say, look at this. Here's an Oath Keeper leader, telling people to go. Here's a smoking gun of a plan to go into the Capitol, but they didn't. They erased him. He was just disappeared from all their footage. Lance Samsel is shown pushing over the first bike rack around the perimeter of the Capitol, but what they cut out was Ray Epps whispering in Ryan's ear right before he did it. That's cut out. That's gone. So it's just really strange and Orwellian the way that Ray Epps has been shielded and protected. And in our trial, we were not allowed to show that footage or show footage of Ray Epps walking around in the crowd outside the Capitol and telling people to go towards the Capitol. We weren't allowed to even mention his name at trial.
Before we run out of time, because I know when you're calling from a federal prison, you have limited minutes.
Yeah.
I want to know what do you want us to know? Use your last minute here.
Well, I think people need to understand that we were correct, that Trump is correct, that the election was stolen, and not only was it stolen, it was unconstitutional and illegal. It violated state election laws, and that triggered a violation of Article 2 of the Constitution, which gives the legislature alone the power to determine the manner for selecting electors. That wasn't done. In many of the swing states, or most of the swing states, they just did it through executive fiat or through judges. That made it unconstitutional. So President Trump has been correct, and to his credit, has not backed down on that. So we were right. That was a stolen election. That was a coup. I call it the COVID coup of 2020. And we need to just keep talking about the fact that it was a coup. The emperor has no clothes. Biden's not duly and lawfully elected. And so we need to understand that, and need to be willing to, be very strident watchdogs this next election, and hopefully President Trump can get back in and undo all the damage. That's what we hope.
Amen. Amen. You stay strong, Stuart Rhodes. It is an honor and a privilege to talk to you, and you get back in touch with me because we can chat frequently. Perfect timing. I lost him. Stuart Rhodes, ladies and gentlemen, the founder of the Oath Keepers. Federal lockup. Once the time's out, it's out. Lights out. What'd you think about that, friends? Quick time out. We'll be back to discuss next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. On the Wendy Bell Radio program.
This is Kelly Morgan, owner of Morgan's Fitness, proud sponsor of Wendy Bell Radio. We have 4 locations to serve.
I forgot to tell you to give me a second when it was over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Because the way we have to air that, I have to mute your mic or it'll be double audio for people watching. So I have to get rid of the thing to put you back on the screen and then unmute you. Wow. It was perfect timing. I will say that. But the great thing about that was perfect timing. And it showed in the same way that they just cut you off. Can you imagine having a conversation and not watching the clock? It almost felt like he was watching a clock. Because he knew exactly when to stop talking.
Ireland Contracting. I talked to Diane Ireland yesterday, and this is super exciting. They are still allowing this window deal.
Really?
Yes. It's 10 years, $10. Thank you so much. Thanks, Box Noggin. That is so sweet for the J6ers. So it is this great offer, and it's for the Wendy Bell Radio family here in southwestern Pennsylvania. If you live in the zone of Ireland Contracting, to possibly be able to get 36 months, 0% financing on all new windows. So this is a significant thing, and this is something that Ireland Contracting is extending to the Wendy Bell Radio family. Thanks, Drops, again. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. It's not hard when you have a pro who you trust, good people, a good family. They don't jack up the estimate based on the wealth of your zip code. You know, they come, they look at the job, and they tell you what it's going to cost. Then they show up with the best installers, usually these Amish carpenters who are, right? And they do the job the way they would do it at their house. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Phenomenal people who just do great work. Facts.
I like the story that a friend of mine called. And they came out, they looked at his roofs. They're like, we don't do these kind of roofs. And they gave him the name of someone. And then they called back a couple days later to find out if he was able to get it fixed. Which... he was more surprised. He's like, they didn't have to do that.
Shoot, I can't even get off the phone tree in most places, right? I have no idea what I'm going to do here. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We just listened to the interview we recorded yesterday after the show with Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes. It's about the 4th time I've spoken with Stuart. And I think what I wanted more than anything is to allow you to hear from him what was going on that day, who the Oath Keepers are. It's so idiotic to try to create this narrative that people who take an oath, keepers of the Constitution, the defenders, the protectors, the eyes out there watching. It's very comforting to me. Is it not to you to know that there are men out there, whether they be in law enforcement or the military, or they were firefighters, or they were first responders, and their service, once perhaps in active duty, now is done, their service to us is not, And so they go places to offer that defense. And they had to be twisted up in this. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a setup. It was a setup. It was a cover-up. They knew we knew 2020 was fraudulent. They needed the ultimate smokescreen, and people like Stuart Rhodes and Enrique Tarrio and Jake Lang. And for a long time, 40-odd months, Jacob Chansley, whose greatest offense was doing what? Getting escorted through the Capitol by 9 police officers? What did he do? He said a prayer. He said a prayer of thanksgiving. You can't make it up. You can't take a pure group of objectives, this basic love of country, this belief in the Constitution. And you can't lie more egregiously about people than they did. And to use something called seditious conspiracy, which they concocted to go after Donald Trump, to go back to like Civil War times and to try to use something from the 1860s to use against Donald Trump. Because all they are is scared. Scared of you knowing the truth, scared of you seeing with your own eyes, scared of you hearing their voices. This is why no judge has heard a freaking election case. Because if they did, they could not say they've seen no evidence of fraud. Fraud is freaking everywhere. It's in 147,000 ballots that had no creases, except they were mailed. Got it. It's so preposterous. It's so outrageous. It's so unbelievable. And that's why the panic is real. There's that binder, friends. 10 inches thick. Is that what it is? Stuart Rhodes makes mention of it. He said the secrets are the swamp water. That in order to play, you've got to be blackmailed. Is this why 101 House Republicans voted against the wishes of millions and millions of Republican voters and went down with this stupid spending package? Because everyone has a price. And the hand on the Bible is bull. It's for show. It's a game. But it's not a game to the Oath Keepers. It's not a game to Donald Trump. It's not a game to the voices out there who allow you to join me at the dining room table and stand around the puzzle. And not just look at it, but to choose a section. Which area do you want to own? And then dig and hunt and educate and share and spread it and own it and be part of the solution. They're not afraid of Donald Trump. They're afraid of you. Quick timeout. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell Radio program is upon us, my friends. It's the moment when a movement goes way too far. And I've got it for you next.
How about that? Both of us were shocked when we heard about Ray Epps. And I went back. I'm like, how did we miss that? And we really didn't. There wasn't much reporting on Ray Epps, mentioning he was Oath Keepers, and I think ABC had maybe one or two stories. But wow, yeah, that's it. It makes you sit there and every time you hear something, you just realize that the government and the media, they aren't in bed together. They're in bed making whoopee together. You know what I mean? That old 70s word. They're entangled. It's crazy. The amount of cover and propaganda that they put out there. And it's what she always says, it's gross. It's at some point we have to step back and say, and people are, you're seeing the ratings for a lot of these stations just tank. If you hear everybody saying the same thing, it makes you realize the same thing is probably a lie. And it's like they almost forget what lies they tell. You know, COVID wasn't in a wet market. They told you that for years. And then all of a sudden, oops, our bad.
I just got a notice.
I just sent you a text. A notice.
I got a notice.
Of eviction?
Notice that my Riverbend Ranch shipment is coming.
Oh. I'm surprised you told me.
You guys, I'm just going to tell you, if you like steak, I'm a meat girl. I'm a meat girl. If you like meat, USDA Prime, best meat you'll have. So you get, this is Riverbend Ranch through Patriot Switch. You do not have to be a part of Patriot Switch to be a part of Riverbend Ranch, which is kind of cool. And the spices are off the charts. But this is what you get. So every month, every other month, you decide, right? I want to make sure I'm not bruised. Okay. You get a package of frozen, right? Packaged meticulously, best steaks you'll ever have, right? You get 4 ribeyes, 4 strips, 4 fillets. Then you get a couple packages of ground beef, off the charts, tacos, hamburger meat, what? Then you get strips. Oh, fudgesicles. God bless America.
No.
I know.
I would know about the strips and the ground meat because I don't get invited.
And the strips of the strips.
They are good.
I'm just going to say this. They're great in stir fry. Holy mackerel. Beef and broccoli, stir fry, anything. Oh my gosh. This beef is fantastic. And I add on 3 extra steaks every month because we have 7. Anyway, fan-freaking-tastic. You don't even have to think about it. It shows up at your door. Riverbend Ranch. Go to patriotswitch.com, patriotswitch.com, and just say, hey, tell me about Riverbend Ranch. I want in. You will love me forever.
Well,
Darius already does.
That,
so does Trumpet.
Their meats are good, but like let's be real here. You know, I would say if you're not sure, start with the spices.
Start with the spices.
Because then you're gonna want the meat.
Start with the damn meat.
Wow.
Get the meat.
Then get the spices too, because the spices work for everything. I put their spices on mixed vegetables.
So good. All right, wait. I heard that there were more things going on here. Let's see. $10 from Political Move.
We're getting to that time. I'm gonna have to start smoking some meat.
Thank you for your money. You don't have to do that, but that's very sweet. We have 20, 20, 10. That's so nice. I can afford Brock for another day.
What's that?
What?
Did we get to 3K yet? Is what you were asking?
Close. We're close. They'll get there. They'll get there.
They're
You
gonna
guys
get to
will get there
3.5.
when you get there. You want to get to 3.5? I swear to God. I think I'd look really
Darius
good.
says,
Paul.
Wendy, I would never say that you look like a carp like Brock did. When did I say you look like a carp?
Wow.
When did I say that? I don't remember.
Noted.
I did not say it while you were gone. So if I said it, it must have been yesterday.
Wow.
Would I be surprised if people just trying to start things?
Why would somebody want to start something? Is it one of my boyfriends?
Darius, you called him a boyfriend at one point.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I'll have to see. You have to earn it. I'm not that cheap.
Oh, when you were smooching the camera, I said it. I said, you look like you were like this. So you look like a carp. There's a screenshot. Hold on, let you people really screenshot. Go ahead. Oh, wow.
Hey, I'm a giver. I believe in giving. That's what I do.
Really?
Yeah. Ask Brock. Right, Brock? Right, Brock?
I'm getting ready for the show. Okay, I don't need text, Diane, telling me when I said it. Wow.
That's fantastic. My ears itch today.
It's amazing how people just throw me under the bus.
Well.
Meep, meep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
Folks, it's so frustrating. I have warned so many people, so many times, that we were headed right where we are.
The left-wing lunatics are trying very hard to bring back COVID lockdowns and mandates with all of their sudden fear-mongering about the new variants that are coming. Gee whiz, you know what else is coming? An election. They want to restart the COVID hysteria so they can justify more lockdowns, more censorship, more illegal drop boxes, more mail-in ballots, and trillions of dollars in payoffs to their political allies heading into the 2024 election. Does that sound familiar? But to every COVID tyrant who wants to take away our freedom, hear these words: we will not comply.
Well, here we are, folks. That is exactly, in a nutshell, what all of this is about. And the icing on the cake for these people would be convicting him and then indicting him and sending him to jail then. And it's all been so predictable.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Welcome aboard. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back, my friends. Hour 3 on the clock. Wendy Bell radio program. Wendy Bell radio, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Why don't you download our podcast onto your phone? I think you will like taking us with you wherever you go. We're just glad that you're here. You know, we stumbled upon a story this morning, and it made me, it created this whole theme of this half hour, I think, where it's not about equal. It's never been about equal. And I didn't realize that until we had Jamie Michelle on. She is the woman who is behind the TikTok page Gays Against Groomers, right? So she's a gay woman. She's a young woman. And she started noticing these trends in this LGBT stuff. And she decided to start this TikTok account, which is phenomenal. And these organic handles have popped up to blow the lid off of so much of the gross abuse of this idea of a victim status. I want to go back to the day where we didn't know how people voted. I don't want to know. I don't want to, right? I don't care who you're sleeping with. These were not things that were either made us worthy or unworthy. They were just private parts of our lives. And we got up and we did the right thing and we went to work and we did our jobs and we tried to raise our kids. And then all of a sudden, this real victim status thing started popping up before the 2020 election, too. COVID only exacerbated it, but it's so obnoxious. And I remember Jamie Michelle from Gays Against Groomers being on the show, and she said, Wendy, I've been gay many, many, many years. This is not about equal rights. This is not about gay people being discriminated against and just wanting to be treated the same as heterosexual couples. She's like, that's not it. It's not about equal. It's about extra. It's about how far can we go? It's about how egregious can our demands be? It's about how malignant can our protests be? How much can we squeeze out of this rock? And it's so true. I was briefly gratified reading something from the University of Texas, Austin. And this is pretty big. This is a huge liberal city now. Texas, you'd think, great red state. The left has infiltrated so many of these communities like Asheville, North Carolina, like Austin, Texas, Boulder, Colorado, where you just get a bunch of progressive-minded interferers who want to ride in on a savior horse and fix a wrong that really doesn't exist, certainly not to the degree that they submit. And it's true. It's true. But this Austin thing, University of Texas, Austin disbanding, doing away with their DEI initiatives and getting back to the basics of how about we just teach people? How about we just become a center of thought, of communication? When you could get people from different backgrounds and come together and realize that our shared experience but individual differences make everything better unless you've co-opted the whole system and you want extra. You want to carve out white people. You want to do what they did in this one school district, and we're going to drop it on you. It's in on the left coast. I think it's Seattle, where they're carving out from a city school system, the gifted program, because it's too white, too many white students and Asian students in that. So let's do away with it. Does that make sense to you? Well, when you step back and you see the puzzle, yeah, you can kind of start to see it. So kudos to the University of Texas system saying, done, we're not going to do this DEI crap anymore. Let's get back into the focus of extraordinary education. All right, I'm down with that. How about this headline, Daily Wire? And this is why I'm harping on this right now. Headline, Scotland makes it illegal to hurt a trans person's feelings. Honest to God. I've seen it all. And yet every single day, the goalpost to suck moves. If you say something that a, quote, reasonable person in Scotland considers abusive, then the government can throw you in prison for 7 years. What are we doing? What do you do? Hey, Scotland, congratulations. You guys have overtaken New Zealand, who Jacinda Ardern pile drove into the chasm of suck. You're on a fast track. Here we go. If you were running the government of Scotland right now, you'd have no shortage of serious, potentially civilization-ending social problems to contend with. Let's not worry about crime, drugs, right? Let's not worry about rape, murder. Shut up about that stuff. Just don't hurt our feelings. Chief among them would be that before long, there might not be very many Scottish people left. What? Since 2011, Scotland's birth rate's been well below replacement level, meaning far more many people are dying than being born. There were more than 630,000 deaths, only 580,000 or so births. And yet, despite those numbers, Scotland recorded its largest population in history as recently as 2022. Well, how could that be? You can probably guess. Like many other nations all over the world, including the United States, Scotland is importing boatloads of poor foreigners to make up the difference. The result has been exactly what you'd expect. Scotland's economy is now in a death spiral. with more than 1 million of its 5.5 million residents living in poverty and no clear solution to the problem. The number of people aged 65 and older is projected to grow by nearly 30% by 2045, while the number of children is projected to drop by roughly 20%. And unless something changes very soon, Scotland may be completely unrecognizable by the time its next census rolls around. But this is what we would normally consider an existential threat. But not so, because in Scotland now, the pressing concern is you saying anything that could, oh, are you hurt? Singed a bit, were we? That's the whole story. How dare you ever think about saying anything wrong about somebody transgender, the most protected people on planet Earth. They ditched the L's and the B's, and they are going hook, line, and sinker only for the T's. Now, there are sites springing up all over Scotland where you can report wrong think if you notice it, including, for some reason, sex shops in Glasgow. Who knows why? Of course, as we well know, the whole idea is to get you twisted in a bunch about emotions. Ridiculous. Patently idiotic. And I want you to hear this, because a woman who probably affiliates in the LGBTQIA plus community takes a camera, turns it on herself and says, if I had known the LGBTQ agenda was going to get co-opted, hijacked, and then abused to be this crybaby bunch of dopes, I never, ever would have spoken out about it. Listen.
I don't understand what is so hard about correcting other people.
I'm so sorry I fought for gay rights. I'm so sorry for all the pain and suffering I went through, and had I known y'all were going to take it this far, I wish I could go back in time and not fight for gay rights and just live a nice, quiet, silent life on my own. We thought that's what we were fighting for, was just nice, quiet, fitting in, being just like everyone else. But I didn't know y'all were going to take it this far. I mean, wish I would have never done it.
So there's that. And then we're going to bounce on over to the UK, where apparently elderly residents are being threatened with their homes being confiscated and given over to migrants. Wait, what? Listen.
The uncomfortable truth, as far as I can see it, is that we are going to have tent cities of asylum seekers popping up around the UK.
Well, I think you summed it up beautifully, Patrick, just the huge pressure that we're seeing now on accommodation. And that does seem to be the only answer. But I'm actually a little bit more worried than that, because I think this is all getting very sinister now. We know that we've had people who have been told that their properties are going to be compulsory purchased for asylum seekers. That pretty much tears up private property rights in this country. I was listening to the radio on the way here, and they were talking about a massive problem facing Britain, which was older people living in houses that were, quote, too big for them. Who's got a right to tell you your house is too big for you? You should be allowed to live where you darn well like. And the implication was very clear. These elderly people are taking houses that they shouldn't have. And I fear that's a worry, that there'll be some kind of move to get them out of those houses. We've also had the horrible scenario last week when Matthew Paris, writing in the Times, talked about how euthanasia wouldn't be a bad thing if it encouraged elderly people to hasten their own deaths. So what? We've got to pop our clogs, have we, forcibly, when we're 60, 70, 80, 90, perhaps earlier, if we're not productive people in society, as Matthew Paris said it. So I think the whole thing now is getting really, really sinister and scary.
Okay. Really getting sinister and scary, sister. You passed that. You in Canada passed that a while ago. Now, what's scarier? This stuff, hurting trans people's feelings and getting sentenced to prison for 7 years, or listening and having to watch Hillary Clinton? Uh-huh. I know what the answer is. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Seven years. Go away. Are you out of your mind? Well, I'm thinking Stuart Rhodes probably thought that, right? I'm pretty sure that's what Stuart Rhodes thought. All right, let me talk to you guys now about Texas bullion. I know that Brock normally. Let me see. Can I put it up without ruining everything? What do you guys think? Texas bullion exchange. Let's see. See if I do this and I fudge it up, he's going to be all freaked out. That'd be kind of funny, wouldn't it? Banners. That's it. All right, hold on. Texas Bullion Exchange. I really love them, if you guys can't tell. They're wonderful. Here we go. Show. All right, that's a band. That's a lower. Shoot. Anyway. Texas Bullion, I love what they do. They help us get our head on straight and just feel a little bit more centered about planning for retirement. And if you need $1.65 million, I think we got to get cracking. One of the things I like about Texas Bullion is it's not like learning about precious metals investing, gold, silver, platinum, palladium. It's not a one size fits all thing. It's a very personal thing. You know, like what you can afford and what somebody else can afford and what your objectives are totally different. That is why the personal attention you get when you call 855-927-5557, 855-927-5557, that personal attention is key. That is a Wendy Bell Radio listener number. So when you call, they know who you are. TexasBullion.com. Ask for their investing guide, their free gold investing guide. Just get the conversation started. I think you're really going to like who they are and what they stand for. TexasBullion.com. If you drop Wendy as a promo code, you're going to get 10% off any coin purchase that you make. Not bad. Not bad. You needed something to drink, did you?
I needed to get rid of to put more in.
I'm still rattled about Stuart Rhodes. I don't know about you guys. I don't mean to, but like I listened to him yesterday when he was talking. But when you're interviewing somebody, you have to be thinking about a million things. And so you can lose a few nuances.
Especially when your time is...
Yes. And then you have the federal penitentiary paying attention. And you're like, fudge, what is this?
Yeah, I'm going to get a knock on the door probably.
What, from the feds?
Yeah.
You're carrying, right?
No. And they're going to say what they said to the guy yesterday. You're not in trouble. You didn't know that you didn't do anything wrong. You know people.
Yeah. You know people and you might be able to help us. I would answer with nothing.
Is that what you're telling me?
When they come for you?
Yeah.
For me, they won't come for you.
I know. They'll come to me to get to you.
Yes.
You know how I know that? They've done it before.
What do you mean?
Do I need to say it?
Yeah.
When I was fired, they came for me to get to you. They knew your weakness.
I have this magnetism.
Mm-hmm.
Are you alleging that you're my weakness? That's a big allege.
Yeah, well, they knew it would set you off. Let's put it that way. Because you had...
Can I still do Trump?
Yes.
Can I do him before Hillary?
Yes.
Okay.
It's Wendy's world. We're just living it. You can do whatever you want.
Where did I have Trump? You gotta love Donald Trump pushing back against this stupid trans day of visibility. Look, if you're transgender, I wish you Godspeed. I just don't want to know about it. I don't care. You shouldn't want me to care. Go be you. You be you. I'm cool with you doing you. Leave me alone. Don't injure anybody around me. I'm not going to injure you either. I don't care. Go along and do your thing. Trans Day of Visibility. Idiotic. You got to hear Donald Trump. It was great. He was talking about, you know what? We're going to have our own day of visibility, he said on the campaign trail yesterday. Listen to this.
We're going to win the White House and we are going to save our country. We're going to save our country. And what the hell was Biden thinking when he declared Easter Sunday to be Trans Visibility Day? Such total disrespect to Christians, and November 5th is going to be called something else. You know what it's going to be called? Christian Visibility Day, when Christians turn out in numbers that nobody has ever seen before. Let's call it Christian Visibility Day, all right?
He's just having fun, right? It's fun. And it shouldn't be. And it's driving the left nutty. Now, in case you were wondering what is coming next, the people who are trying to steal 2024, it's already in motion. When they send out Hillary Clinton to put out something like this, you know damn well the skids have been greased for years. Listen to Brooke's girlfriend, Hillary. Here you go.
Right-wing extremists already have a plan to literally steal the next presidential election. And they're not making a secret of it. Just think, if that happens, the 2024 presidential election could be decided not by the popular vote or even by the anachronistic Electoral College, but by state legislatures, many of them Republican controlled.
Many of them Republican controlled. I remember this saying by Karl Marx, right? Founder of Marxism. Accuse your enemy of what you are doing as you are doing it to create confusion. That's why no Democrat can answer questions. They have to reverse it around and point fingers and say, yeah, but you did such and such. Well, no, I'm not talking about such and such. I'm talking about what we started discussing first. Let's discuss that first. Oh, they won't. It's brilliant. Now, if what we're seeing here is true and clear, as Hillary has projected to us that the machinations of this steal are well underway, what will it be that will force you to be so, oh my gosh, afraid that you'll stay home and allow them to flood all of the ballot boxes again with more mail-in ballots? What could it possibly be? This just in. I think we've learned it. Go.
There is a highly contagious pathogen jumping from bird to cow to human. Texas health officials issuing a statewide alert after the first confirmed case of human infection with bird flu that came from a dairy farm. USDA confirms the avian influenza virus has infected cattle in Texas and elsewhere after wild birds were found dead on farms there and may have contaminated the feed.
That sounds really scary. If I were Bill Hemmer, I'd be like, hey, Earl, get in here. We got to have a conversation about that. Who the hell is asking me to read this? Birds to cows to humans. That's what you guys are going with?
You have to appreciate these may have. That's a lot of words to say. Probably not.
Not a whole lot going on here, but it could be just possibly there's a chance that there was a bird. And that bird flew over to some food. Some food that a cow ate. And that cow, oh yeah. Uh-huh. There was somebody who ate part of that cow. Now that person's sick. It's coming. Biden officials meeting with the World Health Organization to talk about it. Come on. You know what? Here's the thing. I would rather be wiped out in something horrible, right? And not believe these people than fall one more time for them swearing. No, honest to God. Swear super secret pinky swear. I swear, I promise. It's really happening. Okay. Because what do they have? They've got April, May, June, July, August, September. You've got 7 months, ladies and gentlemen, to create the next. I don't think anybody's going to fall for it. Do you? Well, when we come back on this program, my friends, it's very interesting. Wisconsin, as we saw in the national polling that we broke down at the beginning of the program, Wisconsin seems to be the place that is neck and neck. Allegedly, I say allegedly, Joe and Donald Trump tied 46%. But Wisconsin just did something very interesting. And maybe this is why Hillary's so afraid and Fox is telling you about some avian flu thing. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's fascinating. And it's next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
The story sounds so familiar. A bat pooped on a penguin.
Right? I mean, come on.
And then the penguin
it's the same
waddled through some wet market.
Right. So here's what I want you to know. I want to know how many of you guys today are going to have your daily allowance of spinach, parsley, kale, barley grass, wheatgrass, green pepper, green apple, green banana, sweet potatoes, and broccoli. Got all that? Right? Because then you also have to have strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, tart cherries, pomegranates, cranberries, beets, and ginger, licorice, turmeric, and green tea. What is that? It's called Field of Greens. It is powered with a full spectrum of essential vegetables and fruits, plus science-backed herbs and prebiotics. And it's what you do to stay healthy. You know, you can go to the gym and you can lift weights. You can walk around the neighborhood. You can get your heart rate up. But if you're not putting the right food in your body, it is not going to work for you. You're going to notice a difference almost immediately. Digestion-wise, absolutely. But you're going to notice it with your hair and your skin and your nails. And if that's what you're going to see, you're going to wonder what the hell is going on inside of you, because it's probably pretty great. 15% off Field of Greens. I personally, my favorite is the lemon lime. I think Brock likes the wild berry. I like the lemon lime.
Well, that's what you gave me.
Really good. Well, that's the one I had the most of.
No, there was like a quarter of a can.
Yeah, I gave you the most. That's all that's left.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want the raw kind.
And no.
Fieldofgreens.com.
I stand
15%
corrected.
off.
It was a pangolin, not a penguin. Right.
I don't even know what that
and
is.
it had
what is that?
Sex with a turkey or something like that. Or
That's gross. Why are you saying that?
it's how ridiculous the story is.
Yes, you're correct.
The fact that Bill Hemmer went through all that and then said may have, like, really?
Yeah. What are we doing here?
Right. Just cook your meat. Cook it thoroughly.
I don't like my meat cooked thoroughly, though.
No, chicken.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that any other way.
Well, you really don't have an option.
Wow. Snippy.
You getting a brisket?
My bundle was delivered.
Are you getting a brisket in that bundle?
It's going to be, it was delivered at 11:15.
Are you
I'm
getting...
not getting a brisket in my bundle. No, I'm getting steak. And Joe just went out and bought new tomahawk. Those things are $40 a piece. Schmobby can grill those like nobody's business. Plus, my truffle fries will be pretty freaking awesome.
You'll have to tell me about it.
I'll take a picture and send it to you.
I appreciate that.
Do you? See, it's hard to cook for one, or if you cook with Kate for two. See, cooking for 7 is different too. Right now, we've only been cooking for 5.
When I smoke something, I smoke a lot of it and then eat it all week.
I'll take some of that. I'll share with you. I gave you part of my steak yesterday that I had.
The leftovers, you're like, I didn't eat this.
Oh my gosh. Are you out of your mind? It was fantastic. And it was the Riverbend Ranch seasoning that was coffee and dark chocolate. So I was like, no, it was fantastic.
The secret, though, and I told you this yesterday, is to put a coffee rub on a steak and then put a steak in the fridge for like 2 hours.
Who's hungry for some meat, right? All you vegans out there, I just don't get it.
Thank you. That's more for us. That's the way I look at vegans.
I could eat meat every day.
I could too. Every day. Matter of fact, I think I do.
I crave it.
Except the day of my PB&J day. I love peanut butter jelly. Remember you told me I'm having steak, and I sent you a picture of my. I said,
yeah,
well,
it looked like an Uncrustable.
Yeah,
but that's probably, I know that's probably a little ritzy for you though. So
well, I can only. How is it the Uncrustables are more expensive than the bread with crust?
It's a total rip. I bought them once because the boys wanted to try them, and of course they all loved them. I'm like, can you guys love broccoli instead?
You know what I have been eating?
Guacamole. Wow. You need to make that dip.
I do.
Maybe I'll make that dip because I have the artichoke. I have the avocados. It's Allie Dubiak's dip.
Yeah, it's in
She's
their
got
cookbook.
great recipes in her cookbook at Body by Aim 360. They're phenomenal.
Are you, and it's clean eating, which is nice. Are you bringing it in for breakfast?
You know what?
Then?
It's so funny that you think that it's a done deal. So you're planning on it on your calendar.
I was going to bring the chips because I have the Siete chips.
Oh, well, let's communicate later in the afternoon, shall we? And I'll get back
That's
to
a
you.
no.
It's not true. Why would that be a no? It's not a no. That's a maybe.
Which we all know is a no. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine.
Hi, 1,191 people on X. We're in a commercial break, obviously. So you're like, what the hell are they doing? I'm being fabulous. He's complaining. So, you know, it is what it is. I got the nicest email from a woman who called me her best friend. She said, you are my best friend. I'm your age. I agree with everything you say. And I wanted you to know. And I was like, is that the sweetest thing? Yes, it is, Wendy. Thanks.
Yes, it is, Wendy. Odd silence.
With you, I am impressed with Wisconsin today. Things kind of neck and neck there poll-wise. There's time, especially when you've got good news like this to report. On the Post-Millennial today, breaking news, Wisconsin voters overwhelmingly vote to ban Zuckerbucks and private election funding. This is a pretty big development in this state, and I think we all can understand why. Wisconsin has spoken, and the message is clear. Elections belong to the voters, not to out-of-state billionaires. You know, I'm sure that at one point, these rich guys did well. They did good things. They got involved in stuff. But I'm pretty sure I could do away with the Michael Bloombergs and the Bill Gates and the George Soroses and the Jeff Bezoses and the Mark Zuckerbergs. And if we could just put them all somewhere else, go be rich together. I love your wealth. But somehow there's a connection in far too many of these wealthy people between their money and something destructive for the United States. Good for Wisconsin. Wisconsin voters have approved a constitutional amendment banning private money for elections. Good. Now, if we can get rid of freaking lobbying and we could get term limits, I'd be in bliss. Constitutional amendment passed Tuesday after it was proposed by Republicans who were fed up with the money funneled into elections by Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, dubbed Zuckerbucks. Wisconsin has spoken. GOP Chairman Brian Schimming said, the message is clear. Elections belong to the voters, not to the out-of-state billionaires. Of course, Joe Biden won Wisconsin in 2020. It does not make you a bad person to question it every single damn day because they have not proven anything. You can't just wave a wand and say, oh, Joe Biden won. Well, I'd like to see the chain of custody logs. Oh, I didn't know you wanted those. We burned those. Oh, because that makes sense. Well, why don't you show us all of the ballot images that show us how everybody voted? What? I was supposed to keep that? Yeah, I'm sorry. We put that in the trash. I'd like to have access to the video that shows the late night ballot drop on that dock at the convention center where a water main break forced everybody to go home. You know what? It's so weird. that video must be along with all of the interviews of the January 6th, testimonies. We didn't think we needed it anymore. You guys see it? You see it. You feel me? Yeah, I got it. Wisconsin has spoken. Yes, I've read that. A second question offered by Republicans amended the state constitution to say that elections could only be administered by actual election officials. Now, see, this is where we are in this uber litigious environment. You have to actually pass laws to keep scumbags from infiltrating, circumventing, and molesting current laws by inventing stuff that didn't actually happen. So they had to go to the state constitution and amend it and say, hey, it kind of goes without saying, sort of like a woman is the only person who can breastfeed a baby. Not a dude who's taking a bunch of chemicals, not a guy who fancies himself a chick and thinks he can have a baby. In Realville, that's the way it goes. In Realville, elections are handled by, I know, it's shocking, elections people. This was already state law. Enshrining it in the Constitution, though, firms up the practice against legislative change. Now, I don't have to go too deeply into this story to tap into why all of this is so frustrating. When you have good ideas, you can sell those ideas. And when you have a track record of achieving the goals your ideas set out to achieve, you got a really strong case on your side to be reelected or to be given opportunities, to be heard, to be voted for, to be selected. On the flip side, when your actual intention is destruction and despair and destitution and everything that goes in between, you have to lie. You have to cheat. You have to create this fantastic story. And then you need to get people on board to help share it. And then the lies become snowball, giant boulders running downhill. And this is why I say the theme of today's show is the panic. The panic, it's real now on the left. They thought they had it in the bag. They thought they could beat you enough, that they could slap you enough, that they could fiddle with your freaking children enough, and that you would acquiesce to their every request. But there was a sliver of us. Was it 10%? Was it 20%? What was it? Was it the people who wanted edification before rolling up their sleeve? Who saw the pandemic through very clear lenses and said, you know what, this is so odd because you've never tried to do this before, and this is a really important election. It's so odd that we have this virus now that's making everybody nervous. And all of a sudden, we're supposed to normalize this idea that it's too much of a struggle, too much of a hassle to go and do that thing that we do, which is our great honor. It's not some chore. It's not a I have to, it's an I get to. This is my duty to go do this. And every step along the way, they've lied, manipulated, they've concealed, they've erased, they've amended, they've all of it. President of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, a guy named Rick Eisenberg, said voters sent a clear message that they want to keep private money out of election administration. Hey, Mark, suck it. Take your money and suck it. Shove it. Go away. We don't need your meddling. We don't need your interference. We need you to go away. Now, this is a very interesting sidebar to accompany that. As we're fighting just to elect people that we believe in, whose policies have worked, who love the country the way we do, who believe in our values and are loving and kind, welcoming people within parameters, who have rules, right? I've got this story from the Daily Wire, which is contrary to those basic tenets of common sense. 4 pro-lifers face prison time after being convicted in federal court. Well, my goodness, It sounds pretty serious. What could they have done? Well, let's go to Nashville. This is the lunacy that still exists out there. Injustice. Don't tell me that justice is blind or that it hasn't been corrupted. Everything has been. 4 pro-life Christians were convicted yesterday of FACE Act violations. This is what they tried to get Mark Houck on after they were charged by the Biden administration over a peaceful protest at a Tennessee abortion facility. Peaceful protest. Remember Stuart Rhodes' interview here. Remember what they said they did on January 6th. Remember how the left takes facts, manipulates according to their desires, and then uses those facts as a smokescreen to run cover for what they're really doing. The 4 found guilty face a year in prison and thousands of dollars in fines upon sentencing. They're currently set to be sentenced coming up this summer. All right, let's talk about them. What'd they do? They fight somebody? Did they stab somebody? Did they loot somebody? Did they go and set fire to this abortion clinic? No. They were outside trying to tell women who were going into an abortion clinic, hey, maybe think twice. The decision came after a 1-day bench trial, meaning that the defendant's fate was in the hands of Middle District of Tennessee Magistrate Judge Chip Frensley. Frensley agreed with the Justice Department's allegations that the pro-lifers had violated the law and found them guilty. A year in prison? Does that make sense to you? Chip? Stupid name. Sorry. The judge deliberated for less than half of an hour. Spent a lot of time thinking about that. Spent a lot of time thinking about people's lives. Carefully weighing the pros and the cons of the argument. Trying to be judicious and reasonable. Not triggered. Not bought and paid for. But when you've been bought and paid for, sometimes the phone rings and you've got to deliver. DOJ prosecuting attorney Amanda Clough said that the case was about the rule of law, that the 4 had engaged in criminal activity, not a protest. Really? Lawyers for the defendant said that their clients were just practicing their faith in a peaceful manner. They were outside, simply expressing their beliefs in a non-violent way. The group was there to pray and sing and worship and persuade women to not go forward with abortions. Charges were brought against the 4 after they participated in a peaceful pro-life protest at an abortion facility in Tennessee on March 5th, 2021. On that day, a group of demonstrators gathered around on the 2nd floor of an office building in the hallway outside this abortion clinic. They prayed, they sang, they urged the women showing up not to get the procedures done. They didn't touch anybody. They didn't fight anybody. They didn't have weapons. They didn't loot. They didn't rob. They didn't firebomb. They didn't spray paint. They didn't stalk. They didn't throw frozen bottles of urine at police. They prayed and they sang. And they implored people to rethink their decisions, as is their constitutional right to do so. That is what we're up against. An awakening in Wisconsin. A judge in Tennessee who clearly has some issues. And lib of the week. Oh boy. Curious eye makeup on this one. I'll explain and drop it on you next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. They never did anything. Brock, they never blocked anyone.
No.
They didn't keep anybody from going inside. They didn't stop one single woman from making her mind up. But in this world, you're allowed to steal elections. You're allowed to release viruses. You're allowed to lie under oath about it and get paid more than the president of the United States and not be held accountable.
Well, let's just look at the hypocrisy. You're allowed to have a sit-in for Palestine.
Yes.
But not for abortion. You're allowed to stop a official proceeding like the State of the Union and block the roads for the president to get there, but you're not allowed to stop the proceedings of January 6th to certify the election. I don't know. If one's the worst thing that ever happened to America, I'm thinking the other's pretty bad
worse
too.
Worse in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. Worse
and
than Pearl
9/11.
Harbor.
9/11.
Yeah, all combined. When you're allowed to not pay taxes when you're Hunter Biden, but you're allowed to get dragged into court to pay for paying hush money that was really paid by someone else. I hope he sues Michael Cohen, because Michael Cohen probably used his money, Trump's money, to pay that.
Dirty as balls. Wow.
Yeah, this whole country needs a good scrubbing. Someone earlier said, take him to the train station. There's going to be a line at the train station. And a lot of people are talking, too, about the solar eclipse, thinking it's going to be a reason for the government to do something. Don't be surprised. Nothing surprises me anymore.
Hey, Drops Family Garden, you successfully spearheaded $160 of donations here. That's silly. That's so nice. And you personally gave, I think, 50 or more. That's crazy. So.
And I still won't get.
Oh my God, shut up.
A beer.
Oh my God, shut up. We're going out to lunch on Friday. I'll buy lunch. I'll buy you a beer. How about that?
No, you can't, because it's your birthday.
Well, that doesn't matter.
No, it matters.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
really doesn't matter. But okay.
You can buy the beers.
I'm not drinking, so.
That's one of those I'll believe it when I see it type of.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
2 days
April
off.
Fools.
So I just briefly want to bounce back to this four peaceful protesters. I mean, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. I think with each of these stories, there is the awakening of more and more people who've suspected that this is all upside down and inside out, who had weird pangs about 2020, COVID, all of it, but just kind of went along with things like, look, I don't make waves. Just leave me alone. But now they're awake and they see it. And there's something out there. There's somebody prosecuted and persecuted who's doing something correct or who's not doing something incorrect to touch enough people to start this tidal wave. I mean, to be charged with violating the FACE Act, you have to actively prevent people from entering one of these clinics. That's what the FACE Act was all about. They tried to get Mark Houck on it. Judge didn't go for it. The jury didn't go for it because they tried to allege that he assaulted a guy who was actually in his little son's face chirping about his father. This guy, who then Mark Houck pushed. Guy fell backwards because he's a wuss. Right? I got hurt. Typical lefty. Go to court. Houck faces years in prison for doing what exactly? Until the jury was like, that's the dumbest crap I've ever heard. You ought not be able. Where the zip code of your trial should not determine the outcome. Common sense and reason and rule of law and honesty should matter for something. So these four protesters didn't do anything. They didn't stop anybody. They didn't kick. They didn't shoot. They didn't injure. They spoke to. And they face a year in prison. That's going to awaken some people. That's when you want extra. It's not about equal. You're well off the rails of extra. And we're done. Knock it off. You're frustrating and you tick us off. Sort of like what you're about to see and hear. You know what time it is, right?
Time now for the Wendy Bell radio programs.
So love me, love me, love me. I'm a liberal.
Liberal of the Week.
So, I've seen this fellow. He considers himself a trans. He is an activist in the LGBTQIA plus blah, blah, blah community. His name is Jeffrey Marsh, and he's had several viral videos. And I'm going to say not because he's tapping into the LGBT community and they're saying, you know what? Yes, what he said. It's because it's so freaking preposterous. And it's so illustrative when he takes a camera and shoots a video of himself of what being triggered and deranged and wacko looks like in America. So I'm going to paint a picture for you. This is a dude. He's wearing something that Charo would wear. Okay. It's like a dress that looks sort of like a flower pot, but it's got like geometric things on it. It's super bright. I don't know. He needs a little help with eye makeup. It's kind of haphazard. He's got dangly earrings on, and he has that typical affected hand motion where he's very demonstrative with his hands. And he has a message for you guys. He's talking to kids on TikTok, in fact, in this video, and he's encouraging these kids on TikTok to disobey their parents. Perfect message. Go.
Hi, love. Here are 3 ways to disrespect your elders. So if you're dealing with a narcissistic parent or a bullying boss at work, you need to 1, play innocent. There's some sort of secret code or language they're using to try to get you to do what they want. And all you need to do is ask, what do you mean? I don't get it. Could you explain that? Be innocent. Number 2, feel no guilt. Bullies and narcissists use guilt as leverage. And if you refuse to feel guilty, it doesn't matter what you do or what they do or say. And number 3, limit contact. Don't do extra. Don't go above and beyond. Don't show up constantly, consistently, and all the time sacrificing your life for their agenda.
Ew, what are you even talking about? What are you... I do have to admit, I do feel some sorrow for people whose identity is completely wrapped into this affected victimhood. Because it's funny, in the United States, you are pretty well free to do whatever you damn well want. And if you're a thug, you can do even more than that in America today. There are very few limitations on you and your ability to make decisions that you wish. If you want to go and you want to mutilate your body, you can do that. You will find a doctor who will do that for you. If you want to go and you want to firebomb something or you want to destroy a business by looting it, there are many opportunities for you to find enough like-minded people who are funded by people like George Soros, who you can do those sorts of things with. Nobody is stopping you. Nobody is stopping this dude who's pretending to be a woman. And it's so insulting because they're always really ugly, right? Can we at least have somebody who's attractive try to pretend to be a woman? It's mental illness, and it's also derangement. And it's too dang bad. But we're tired of you. Go away. The truth, hopefully, I have faith as I look at our dining room table, as we're putting together our puzzle, and I see it. It's taking shape, and it's taking shape rapidly. More people are reading beyond the headlines. More people are getting educated. More people are stepping out and talking about the madness. And that is why the panic is real. I'm Wendy Bell. I hope you come back tomorrow. I'll be here. Until then, peace.